Okay, guys, we are live. So for those listening at home, welcome to the Dungeon Musings YouTube channel. My name is Kevin Madison, and I will be your friendly dungeon master today. Today, we are continuing on with our campaign playing Modiphius' very cool Star Trek Adventures. Now, we are playing through the introductory adventure or introductory campaign, A Star Beyond Stars, found in the Star Trek Adventures starter set. So if you are, we're going to be making some changes to the campaign as we go along here, but if you are intending to play that, we will have spoilers in here. So just be warned, if you're going forward and intend to play through that, you may have that campaign spoiled for you. But the people and the stars of this campaign who will be spoiling that campaign for you are the stars of this campaign.
The
Flawless introduction. Yeah.
Campaign.
So first up, we're down one player today due to the a casualty of the long weekend. But first up is Arlen Walker.
Hi, I'm Arlen. I am playing Lieutenant Teprell, the Vulcan medical officer of the Magellan, who got kind of banged up last episode, but is feeling good now.
Nice. And next up is Sean.
Hi, I'm Sean Phelan, playing Lieutenant Commander Quellis Zaroff, the Chief of Security, in charge of safety, and got a little involved. It was a good start, considering a fight was involved as soon as I joined the campaign. So that's what we want. Well,
Nice.
That's not what we want, but you know what I mean.
Excellent. And last but not least is James.
Hi, I'm Lieutenant Commander Zhang Lian. I'm the con officer, and I am struggling with learning new skills, like how to patch up our doctor.
Yes. So one of the things we chatted a bit before the session, talking about what a little bit about what happened, and I realized this might be better for the actual stream for the session. But one of the things that we saw happen last session is we saw Lieutenant Commander Zhang challenge one of her values and then replace that with another value. Was that right?
That's right. So now my new value is, am I out of my depth?
Nice. Okay, I'm going to write that down. And otherwise, everybody else has the same values that they had to start with, right? Like for the pre-gens?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. Okay, so I've got the character sheets here as well. Excellent. Then I think so. As broad strokes to bring us up to speed on where we're starting the campaign, the Magellan, excuse me, I believe picked up a distress call. You're in the region, the remote Alcona sector, investigating the disappearance of the USS Alcibiade. After 3 days in the unpopulated region of space, you found a promising lead. An hour hours ago, long-range sensors, or hours prior to you guys arriving on the Alcibiade, the long-range sensors detected a vessel and the presence of subspace interference. The ship was several parsecs outside of Federation territory, however. The Alcibiade was on special assignment prior to its disappearance, testing new engine systems designed to exceed Warp 5 without damaging subspace. And when you guys arrived at the Alcibiade, you found that subspace interference had prevented you from taking advantage of the transporters to go on board. So an away team was assembled by the captain and sent over to explore the ship, find out what the heck happened, find out who's still on board, and then try and deal with any issues that may arise there. However, you found that there were some mysteries that you encountered when you got on board. What were those, guys?
Well, I guess what they were doing there. I mean, I'm not sure if that's an official mystery, but
Well, I guess, yeah. And by them, who do you mean?
Romulan.
That's correct. Though no Romulan ship was detected,
Right.
there certainly was a crew of Romulans who have taken at least some degree of control of the Alcibiade. You also found evidence that the crew of the Alcibiade did not go into that night gently.
Right.
They were. The most recent that you found was the medical officer who appears to have been shot at point blank range by a disruptor.
Right.
And
And
as
we just found that out, right? That was in the medical bay.
yeah, well, you guys returned there. You found that out. Lieutenant Prell performed the kind of surgery on herself. Lieutenant Hanordell had jury rigged the door with some kind of power thing, with the power source from one of the med beds. And you guys opened that up. You knocked out the Romulan guards that were kind of stationed outside of the med bay, and the what else did happen? And then what ended up happening is that sent a pulse through the otherwise depowered system. And as a reminder to you guys, so like the way that the game works is that there are certain traits that are in play for the scene or for the setting. Right now, we've got traits that include subspace interference, that include no power, and then include bad lighting, or emergency lighting, I think is what it's called.
All right.
So where we left last time, you guys had closed the door again, and I can't remember, did Lieutenant Dell sabotage the door again so it wouldn't reopen, or...
I think we did either. I mean, I know we talked about it, about possibly using a weapon to
Weld it shut.
weld it shut. Is my guess. 'Cause I know
Right.
We talked about it. I'm thinking we did.
Yeah. I'm fine. You guys would have had time to do that, knowing that that thing was coming. And then, of course, Lieutenant Taprell, what did you do?
So I basically did my best to give Lieutenant Commander Zhang Lian a quick, crash course in emergency surgery.
Yeah.
so that I would get operated on effectively, which turned out to go about as well as could be expected.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm no longer suffering from an injury.
Okay, now, did you use 1, 2, 3, 4? You would have used that momentum from last. I was just checking to see if there would have been any momentum left in the pool. It does not look like there is any. Now, rules as written, it may go down to 0 at the start of each session, but I don't think that if you're mid-adventure, that seems kind of unfair to you guys if you've managed to build some up. But that does not appear to be a problem because I don't think you have any momentum.
I see that you created those macros, Kevin. It looks like over there.
I did not. I have not.
Okay.
No, sorry. I see it popping up, so maybe it's doing it on its own.
No, never mind. No.
We may have no momentum, but we've got a galaxy-class load of threat.
Yeah. You
Right.
do. I do have a lot of threat currently sitting. So what I think where we left things was that you heard that there were Romulans at the door, and I think you heard some coming through the Jeffries tubes as well.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, I think we were going to escape through the Jeffries tubes, and we're looking to do that, and saw that they were approaching.
Yeah. Oh, and for those listening at home, too, you may recall that there are some of us who are coming into this with a great deal of experience with the Star Trek setting, and some are coming in fairly fresh, too. Arlen is coming into it fresh, having watched my absolute favorite episode of DS9 in the Pale Moonlight. So you've got a great insight into what Romulans are like.
The expectations for you, Arlen, are very high now. They're
Yeah.
very high.
And one of
No
the things
so far now.
I may have...
Hopefully, I think last time I may have had some trouble because I think I, as a player, was basically in shock when Taprell got shot.
Yeah.
Because it was about to be the third character I was going to lose in a couple of weeks.
Kevin just bloodthirsty.
I know. I've got nothing but the corpses of player characters littering my gaming table. So.
Yeah, my player characters.
Exactly.
Right.
So the what's gonna be scary is when we get you and Brent in a session together, because both of you guys seem... Brent nearly lost his Starfinder character a couple sessions back too. Anyway, where we're gonna pick up then is with those guys coming in, and the reason I wanted to bring up the watching the episode of Pale Moonlight is I mentioned a couple sessions ago as well how this is very, like, the Romulans are not like pirates. The Ferengi can be seen that way. Ferengi raiders can be like that. Orion pirates can be like that. These green-skinned humanoids. Romulans don't do this. Like, they don't try and steal people's ships or stuff like that unless there's some very, very, very specific reason. And even then, they don't like dump raiding parties and then take off. So, although, I mean, knowing now that there are...
we don't know that they're gone. They
No.
could just be cloaked and hanging out.
Well, and that's, I guess, the other thing that you might want to consider is that because your tricorders are currently only operating to the range of, like, the extent of how far you can reach your hand, you've no idea what's happening out in space. You know, and a Daredevil class vessel is certainly more than a match for a Galaxy class ship, especially if it gets the drop on them. So whether or not you will have the Magellan out there when you deal with the subspace interference, who knows? You may be the last survivors of 2 crews of Starfleet vessels. So, with that in mind, knowing that you may be all on your own, having freshly, now branched into the area of self-surgery, Lieutenant T'Prell, what do you guys want to do?
Well, I guess I think we looked up into the Jeffrey tubes, and they're coming, right? So, and we found that we don't have any Starfleet grenades. I seem to recall at the end of the last session. Making that up.
You don't have any...
Huh?
You don't have any which? Sorry, I was trying to read something here.
We don't have any Starfleet grenades, so...
No. No photon grenades.
No photon grenades. If that even exists.
It is. It's in the rules. Yeah.
Is it really?
Yeah.
So defense. And do we? Is the doors under attack as well? Do we know?
You can hear people kind of thumping at the door right now. What I was trying to find here is determination. Right. I'm going to give you a point of determination to T'Prell, because I think that's a pretty... Operating on herself plays up not only the medical officer role, but also plays up your Vulcan nature. That's a really good way of role-playing her, what is the essence of her character. So I'll let you have a point of determination for that.
Excellent.
Okay, now, guys, so you can hear them banging at the door. You can hear that the Jeffries tube that you use to access this area, seems like someone is banging, you can hear things going through there. I imagine that Lieutenant Dell, maybe he hopped up there and, because you've still got the access hatch open to the Jeffries tube, and he can hear people coming down. He's like, not that way, and seals up the hatch. What would you guys like to do? And what we're going to do is we'll start in this will be sort of a narrative phase first, and then if we need to drop into tactical, we'll do that. But what would you guys like to do? It does sound like there's at least 2 groups of Romulans coming from 2 different directions.
And as far as we know, there's 2 exits to the room, right? The door and the Jeffries tube.
No, that there is a door, and you're not certain. So one of the things you could do is try and make some skill checks here to try and see if there are other ways to get out of here.
Let's do that.
Okay.
Yep.
So let's maybe. You know what, dudes? I'm gonna put control over Lieutenant Dell, unless it is that way already. I'll put anybody. Oh, anyone can control Dell.
Okay.
So do we think that? I think for Dell that'll be likely a. I think it's gonna be insight and engineering. Or is insight the social thing? I'm trying to remember.
Go ahead.
Yeah, let's see here. Look. Oh, you know what? I think they did a good thing in the...
Before we try to open that other door, if there is an obvious other door, we'd want to listen, make sure they're not...
For sure, yeah. Okay, so insight. A character's understanding about their environment and other people. Oh, yeah, okay, so that is what I...
Yeah, so it seems like it would be insight if Dell is just looking around. Maybe reason if he's trying to recall the ship's specs or something like that.
Yeah.
But I don't know if there's enough detail to actually get anything like that.
So let's see here. So his focuses, you know what I'll do is I'm going to give him, because you guys did call up the specs of the ship beforehand, I'm assuming he's been at least at one point referring to that. So I'll give you 1 free asset as well. So you're going to get, the difficulty for this will be reduced by 1. So does someone want to make a check for me for... Lieutenant Dell against the difficulty 0, and it'll be insight and engineering. Ba, 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 ba. I think that's a history. He doesn't have a foci that would apply. So who's hands up? Who's going to make that roll for Dell?
Arlen, were you looking that up, or I'll do it?
I was looking at it right now. I can make
good.
it.
Go
yeah.
for it.
Yeah.
Let me. Yeah. I'll do it.
Nice.
Insight and engineering.
Okay. So he does find he says, yes, hold on, there's another one, and he goes racing across the med bay, and you do have a another way of kind of getting through. I'm going to give you 1 point of momentum as well too, so you guys now have 1 point of momentum in the pool from that. There's only a difficulty 1 test. So there does appear to be another way to get out of here. Now, where is it that you guys would like to go next? The Jeffrey's Tube won't take you necessarily everywhere, but you could try and, get back to sort of like a main corridor and lose them in sort of the layout of the ship. You could go back to the hangar bay. You could go to try and get to engineering. You could go to stellar cartography. You could go to the bridge. What would you guys like to do?
I'm thinking stellar cartography. Who is this mysterious voice?
Yeah. It's time we found out.
Okay.
And quick one, do we have those disruptor rifles?
You can have them if you want. I think I might take a threat every time you use one, because that's a kind of that's. I don't know if
load of dead Starfleet. It's
yeah, I think it's like Starfleet has issued the like there's a reason that you don't carry them around. The phasers are the things that are at default set to non-lethal. Disruptors are I think it would take some working to not do that.
okay, well, let's tote one anyway. Could be useful for going through things.
Okay, yeah, sounds good.
Sure.
Yeah, so and it would only be in combat that I would take the threat for that. And there's a mechanical reason for that as well too, is because you can set up what are they called, directives, and there can be mission directives or overall sort of Federation directives. The Federation directive about not using lethal force, that's where I get every time you violate that, then I get a point of threat. And we can set mission-based ones as well too, like don't punch the diplomat, or things like that, like where there's specific goal, like objectives. You can still do whatever you like, but it's just there's the threat consequence that comes from that. So, yeah, so you give a listen down that particular tube, and it does not appear that there is doesn't appear that there's anyone down there. So, you're heading to stellar cartography, right? So let's do this as another extended test too, guys, and we'll cycle through here. Who do you think is going to be the primary person acting on this extended test?
Whoever is best for getting us there. Is there someone in particular that were we just saying that the engineer had the best knowledge of the layout?
Last time it seems like it was Henry Dell who had studied the layout and so knew the way through the Jeffrey's tubes.
Sure.
So at least as long as we're in the tubes, I guess we probably ought to decide how far we want to take the tubes, because one of the things that I'm thinking is that if we end up running into trouble, being stuck in the confined space with one direction to go is probably not the place we want to be if the Romulans find us.
It's a pretty good example of a trait I could throw into the scene, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we might want to, take the tubes for far enough to get back into like the main corridors and then get out of there.
Okay.
I shouldn't say no. We're using them now.
Yep. And they may well have grenades with them since
Okay.
they are prepared.
Right.
Okay, so let's see here.
Damn them.
All right, so I'm setting the work, magnitude, and resistance for the task. All right, so then first up will be to Prowl. Not to Prowl, will be Dell. So that is going to be I think an insight and engineering, maybe.
And is it possible for maybe the next best informed deck plan informed PC to assist?
Well, what I'm going to do is we're going to treat this like we did last time. Is everyone will take turns in what they're contributing to it, and you can picture it in kind of like what we're seeing in a Star Trek episode or a Star Trek film. This is the first thing we're seeing is you guys making your way through the Jeffries tubes, and then if you decide to change approach, like Arlen suggested, where you're going to try and get out of there and you're going to do a different thing, then we'll figure out what skill pairing will be used for that. So the first thing is getting through here. Now, am I correct in thinking you guys are going pell-mell through this and not like trying to carefully go? You're not, you're trying to get out of here so that you can put some distance between.
Yeah, probably for our short sprint. Yes.
Sure. So I think let's use daring and engineering for Dell.
All right.
Okay, and then so he's starting at a dice pool of 2. He's got 1 momentum in the momentum pool. Does he want to give me any threat? And does he want to use any momentum?
We have the 1 point of momentum, so we might as well use that, right?
Yeah, let's use 1 point of momentum.
Okay.
And just do the 3, and then do we want somebody to assist to Dell?
I think we do. I mean, there's only so many things to do in these Jeffrey tubes anyway. I was thinking that Zaroth would take the caboose and deal with pursuit, be available to deal with pursuit if necessary. So maybe one of the other 2 characters, the other 2...
Sure, I'll let one other person... You know what, Zaroth, let's use Zaroth. So that'll be... let's use daring and I think security. Let's let him lean into her strength here. So it could be a daring and security check, just with 1 dice. And let's see how about that.
And security, got it. 1 die, got it. Okay. And let's see. Are we focuses? Does that have anything to do with assisting or no?
It does. Yeah, it can. Do you have a focus that would apply here?
Well, I mean. Possibly, we're working as a group. I'm taking up the caboose, so possibly squad tactics?
No, I think squad tactics, needs to be... Because, like I said last time, there needs to be situations where that won't apply. Otherwise, it's a meaningless moniker.
Yeah.
It means constantly... In this case, if you are specifically able to coordinate positioning of other people, like you were last time, then I'd let squad units apply. Right. But let's see if there's anything else here.
I mean, he's taking the caboose because he's figuring he's the one that's going to get shot. I mean, it could be fearless, I suppose. You
know what I would let you do? Starship internal security.
Okay.
I think that, you would have turned your mind to, while the Romulans aren't thinking of the Jeffries tubes, past experience knowing that's the way that things would get around. I think maybe you turned your mind to that, so I'd let you have that.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah.
So,
Sounds good.
Got a foci? Let's see here. Boom. Oops. Nice! Very nice. Okay, so you got 2 successes so far, and then Dell, go ahead and make your...
All right, Dell with 3 dice. I don't think Dell has a relevant focus.
Okay.
But let's roll.
Here we go. Nice! 2 more.
2 more?
Okay, so you generated 4 successes so far. So what that means is then I need you to roll... let's see here. 2 dice. So it's 2, whatever the Starfleet dice are called.
Challenge. The 6
challenge dice. Thank you. Yeah. And then equal to the discipline that was used. The discipline was engineering.
Mm-hmm.
So what's Dell's engineering?
It's 4.
4. Nice. Okay, so you got to roll 6 challenge dice plus 4. That'll be the how much work has been made on this.
Nice.
So let's see here.
6 challenge dice plus 4, and then Dell also has, whenever you succeed at an engineering or science task that is part of an extended task, you may ignore up to 2 resistance for every effect rolled.
Excellent. Okay, great.
So...
Nice. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, and you rolled 3 effects as well. So you reduced I can tell you reduced the resistance to 0, and you did 1, 2, 3, 4 plus 4 is 8. So because you did more than 5 in 1, you've also achieved a breakthrough. So what that means is that the number of the breakthroughs are the way that extended tasks are set up is there's a magnitude that's set. The magnitude is the number of breakthroughs you need to make in order to succeed. You know, and it's effectively the way they structure it mechanically is just like as if you were in
it's like,
combat.
like the hit points and injuries thing.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Yep.
So you guys have, I think what happens narratively is actually you find you're scrambling around through the Jeffries tubes and you get to a point, and Dell remembers like, wait, no, hold on, these actually think there's a subroutine there's a subroute over here, and you guys get to you wander down in one direction that seems intuitively to be closer to the edge of the hull. You're like, this cannot be the faster way to get there. And you cross a turbo shaft opening at one point, and you guys are able to scramble down this like ladder way that leads you down about 4 or 5 decks to a different area, get into something, and then there's a hatch that it's not obvious. It's something that has to be pulled away in order to get in. He's like, this way. You guys get through there. You're nearly there, so we can kind of pick up with you guys getting out of there. You're almost at stellar cartography at this point. And unless you had an extensive knowledge of this particular type of vessel, it's very unlikely that the Romulans would ever be able to spot you. So, who is going to take the lead in the next phase of this extended challenge? What do we think here?
And we're confident at this point that we know where we're going?
You know where you're going. Yeah, you definitely know where you're going towards stellar cartography. It's just a matter of whether you're going to get there, without stumbling.
I mean, at this point, it just seems a risk from random Romulan and bumping into them. So Zarath is happy to take the lead if that.
Yeah.
Okay. He'll go maybe What's the approximate width of a corridor? Would you say? Like, is it 15 feet or?
So based on, I think it's about maybe like 12 feet, 12 to 15 feet, just judging from the TV shows.
So right. So maybe go about that ahead. Like looking around corners and then waving forward.
Absolutely.
So if all hell breaks loose, at least they've got a little bit of a gap to fall back.
Okay. And does someone want to assist with this? I'll let one person assist with that.
So T'Prel has defensive tactics, so we could do like a bounding Overwatch type thing, right? Zarath goes up to one point, and T'Prel is ready to provide covering fire if Zarath needs to make a quick exit from some Romulan patrols.
Absolutely.
That sort of thing.
So why don't I think what I'll do is, would you, T'Prel, make an insight and security check for that? And then you can apply your focus because of your defensive tactics. Let's see how that goes. One dice. Nice, one success. Okay, so you got one success so far there, Zarath. And Zarath, you're taking the lead on this one. And you are rolling your security plus insight. And that does sound like squad tactics the way you've described it to me. So you'll apply that focus as well.
Okay. And let's see. So we've got, at this point, we've got 0 in our pool, right?
Yep.
Just for, I think, what do you think, guys? I mean, either.
Let's back up for a moment, because I said that that's the way you were spending your points, but technically, if you guys wanted to say game the system, you could, knowing that you got at least 5 points on your thing, you could have spent only one of the 4 successes that you generated to get to that 5, get your breakthrough, and then you could have invested the other 3 back into the momentum pool, or you could take them as progress on the work towards completing this extended task. What do you guys want? Not to metagame too much, but just to give an example of how you can kind of work the system there and work the momentum pool. What do you guys think?
I mean, I would suggest one of 2 things. Either we put them all towards progress, or knowing that we're not there yet, we would put 2 towards progress and put 1 in the pool, making it available for that, that first point you spend gets that 1 die. Yep. That's a nice deal.
And that's the most efficient purchase.
Sure.
Yeah,
right.
So I totally agree with that.
Okay. Let's do that. 2 towards progress then, and 1, we'll keep 1 in the pool, which I'll spend now.
Excellent. Okay.
For an additional die.
Okay, and let's see how this goes.
And I think, that additional die is simply, this is definitely, he's in his element, and, you feel like he's kind of in control.
It's a she, isn't it?
Is it the picture looks male, but I could be wrong.
Like I think she's got breasts in. That's why I think like looking
Just
at.
bad diet.
Because on the pre-gen sheet is that a my Andorian my ability to identify Andorians obviously is
No, it's
four.
well, yeah, and it could be Eye of the Beholder here too. I
Well,
mean,
he's a proud daughter of Andoria.
yes,
Okay.
yeah, and even like the hips. I mean, to me look female. She looks like an athlete build, right? Like,
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, but to be honest, it's your character, so it doesn't really matter one way or the other, male or female. It's your fucking character, so.
Quellist, I wasn't sure how to go with that either.
Yeah, well, again, it's a made up. There's an old joke, and that what's his name? Max Landis was talking about as well. You know, his dad grilled him on, so what are the rules for defeating a vampire? And he gave all these rules out, and he's like, no, wrong. There's no such thing as vampires. It's whatever you want to fucking make it.
Right.
So it's the same thing with Quell. Quell's is a made up fucking name anyway. It could be a male or female. We don't really.
You know, I've been thinking of him as a male, so I'm gonna
Sure.
keep
Yeah.
going
No.
with
That absolutely.
Yeah, it would just confuse me at this
No.
point.
This one absolutely. Okay.
I'm really confused.
So what is-
so we're good, right? I should roll.
Yep. Absolutely. Let's see here. Boom.
All right.
Okay, 2 successes. So, now that means that you're going to have 2 momentum that you got kicking around. Add 2 plus your security and roll that number of challenge dice, please. Let's see how much progress you made.
All right. So my security is 4, so 6 challenge dice.
Yes, please. 1, 2, 3. Oh, wow.
There
Wow.
you go.
So let's just assume you're going to make it to stellar cartography at this point. Let's just dump the other 2 back into the momentum pool. Because
Okay.
you definitely do not need them.
All right.
So you guys are coming into this, and this will still be the same scene as well, too, so you won't lose a point from momentum. But as we go in here, let's see. So there are. Okay. You know what's neat is that the starter game has rules for the SETI eel, so I'll look forward to taking over someone's mind. I'm kidding. Yeah, and I know that like the SETI eel scene from Wrath of Khan to your eyes, Arlen, probably looked pretty fucking cheesy, but it was traumatizing as a kid seeing that.
It was solid. That was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
God. Okay, so as you guys are making your way along, you know, and Zaroth, you're at the front of the landing party. We've got to prowl at the back. You guys make your way up towards the door. As you come around the corner, the door to stellar cartography is half open. So from where you're seeing, you can see that it's open, and that's unusual. Remember that most of the doors that you've come across thus far have been stuck in whatever position they were in when when things have gone down.
I'll give the signal for caution,
Okay.
and it looks like the coast is clear otherwise.
Look up and down. Otherwise, the corridor, in the red kind of emergency lighting that's pulsing there, it's otherwise unoccupied.
I'll wave everyone up so everyone gets to see what we're dealing with here.
Okay. So you guys are probably about maybe like from the curve of the corridor, you can probably get as close as about 20 feet away, 20, 25 feet, and you can see from where you are, the door is open, and it appears that there is light within.
So point out the door. Everyone can see the situation.
Oh, sorry. By that I mean like there's the red lighting as well too, but there are blue lights that seem to be shining in there as well too, which is different. Everywhere else you've been has had that ambient, crimson kind of hue to the light.
Is the opening large enough to actually fit a person through?
Definitely, yeah.
Yeah.
You'd have to turn sideways to get through there.
Yeah.
But
What do you guys think?
Vulnerable, but
Should I? Does someone want to go up and take a peek? I'm happy to do so. Are any of us a little more stealthy than others? I'm happy to go up and take a peek. But if someone's good at that.
So that would be again like it's more a matter of figuring out what sort of that action like we frame what that would be in terms of your foci and then what your things would be. I think that like sneaking up would probably be a mix of daring, probably daring and security. I think.
Well, that sounds like Xerath.
Yeah.
That's his thing anyway.
Is it daring
And
or is it control? Let me take a look at what the
yeah.
descriptors are here. So control is described as self-discipline, coordination, and fine motor skills. Oh, for sure, it's gonna be control then.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's like daring is bravery, quick thinking, or acting without hesitation, and that's you're not like I'm so stealthy. You know, you're carefully making your way up. So I think it'd be control and security.
So he's worse at control for sure than daring. I think it'd probably be in his
quite
nature.
good at control.
You are? Sure. Okay. Lieutenant Commander Leon,
Okay.
you want to?
I slide along the wall,
Okay.
get to the door, and have a little peek in there.
Sure. Now, what I'll say is that because of the emergency lighting as well, that will be an asset you can take advantage of because it's a little easier to hide in this. And, you know, like all of my favorite games, there's no goddamn dark vision in this game. So darkness is an actual thing.
Double trigger Kevin. Don't
Yeah, really. It's one thing. It's like fucking dark vision. Okay, so the this task will be a control and security test. I think the difficulty is going to be. Let's see here. I think it'll be 2, but then I'll reduce that to 1 because of the ambient lighting. So the difficulty is only going to be 1. You only need 1 success to get this, and you've got 2 momentum sitting in the pool. Do you have a focus that you think would apply?
Nope, afraid not.
Okay, so then you can also buy or give me threat to gain momentum. Someone in chat, Ingolf, one of our players from our Starfinder game, Ingolf reminded me that you could buy momentum for threat. Because more threat's always great.
I'm feeling good about this. We'll use 1 momentum to get the 1 extra die,
Okay,
and that's up to 3.
okay.
So I will.
And here we go. Nice. Okay, so 1 to get the success. That means you got 2 momentum left over. Now, do you want to, just as a refresher for what you can do with your momentum, you could create an advantage, you could create an opportunity, you can create a problem for whoever's in there, or you could obtain information.
Well, I'm thinking this is got to be I get lucky when I see through the door.
Okay, yeah, that sounds great. So you're able to see clearly through. That'll only be 1 your momentum, so you can put 1 back into the pool. What you are able to do is you know, in the film version, we sort of like see inside the stellar cartography room, and there's a guy sitting at a control panel, and we see on the far side like the half open door. You know, completely shrouded in shadow with just a little bit of the red lighting kind of highlighting the most prominent parts of your features. You're able to study the entire room and take in what there is to see. So the inside there is a young Starfleet engineer with the standard, you know, the signature yellow shoulder markings. He sits at the controls for stellar cartography. A star chart of known space flickers on the large spherical screen. But soon, after you get there, the screen fills with static and then goes dark. And you hear him say, "Oh, almost had it that time." And then he keeps, starts fiddling away at the screen again. I think you'll also be able to see that there is, like cabling and clearly some like kludge work that has been done here to like reroute power and whatever else and get this thing working. He's otherwise completely oblivious to you guys. And I think that in... You know who he's played by is... oh gosh, what's his name? Jason Fleming. He's in Lock, Stock, and he's in like every one of Michael Vaughan's films. He's a British actor who kind of came to prominence in the 90s. Character actor. Mm-hmm. That's who plays this character in the film version of our campaign. So if you're not familiar with... I'm trying to think what else he was in. He plays Mr. Hyde in League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. He plays the coachman in From Hell. So he's busy working on this Lieutenant Zhang, but you can't... He's completely oblivious to you. What would you like to do? You could return to your colleagues without having to make any further test, if that's an option that you want to do. Or you could move into the room, and he's, again, completely oblivious to you.
I suggest, since I'm away from the rest of you guys, I'm just going to be daring and slide in behind him.
Okay.
And have a good look at what he's staring at.
Okay. So he seems to be working on... okay, let's see here. I think what I'll... why don't you give me a reason plus engineering task, because that's really what you're going to have to piece together from what he's from the workarounds he's done. This is not just a simple matter of like, what is he hitting on the tab? It's what the hell has he set this thing up for?
Now I've got two things here. I've got a focus on navigation.
Yeah.
He seems to be looking at navigation, and I've got a talent on computer expertise. When I attempt a task that involves the programming or study of a computer system, you may add one. Is this?
Yep, that it'll be something related to that. So I'll let you. Yeah. See, what does that give you? A re-roll of dice?
I get one bonus d20.
Well, bonus. Okay. But is it? Hold on. Is it one of those abilities where it's a bonus, but you drop the lowest, or do you just automatically get a bonus?
It just says you may add one bonus d20.
Nice. Cool. Great. Okay. So then, that's the task. Task will be a reason plus engineering. Yeah.
And when we see Lieutenant Commander Leon go into the door, I think Zarat's going to want to go up to where Leon was standing previously to be able to cover him.
Okay. Her.
That
one's a her, I know.
Right. Cover her.
Humans.
And look at Lieutenant Duprel and say, let's advance.
Okay.
I'm very attractive, by the way. I'd just like to point this out.
I'm sure. I'm sure now that we've established that Quellis is male, I'm sure that Quellis has noticed.
Okay. So let's see here. So then we'll do this in two different tasks. So first, let's do Zhang. So that's gonna be the kind of pairing you've got. Do you have a focus that applies?
Yes. Well, that's the focus on navigation, because he seems to be looking at navigation stuff.
Well, stellar cartography isn't so much navigation as it is like cartography. It's more setting out like the broader picture. Navigation, I think, is more getting from one place to another, whereas stellar cartography is something else. And what he's doing with this is actually he's trying to repurpose this stuff to do something different. So, but it is computers related. Do you have any foci related to computers?
Nope. Propulsion systems, shuttlecraft, subspace, physics, quantum mechanics, and avian breeding.
Avian breeding. Bird lady. Okay, so then, so the starting pool is going to be 3 because you get your bonus dice. So you got your dice is already a 3. You got 1 left in the momentum pool.
I think let's leave it, because I suggest I just go with the 3.
Okay, sounds good. Go ahead. Difficulty for this is a 3 because it's like I said, it's a little more challenging to piece together what this guy's doing here.
Darn, should have taken the extra dice.
Ooh. Okay, now hold on. Can you? Yeah, you can't give me momentum to get extra successes. Or give me threat to get extra successes. Okay, so then you're not able to piece together what the hell he's,
Or this might be a good time to fail forward.
Yeah, you know what it is? So you can figure out what he's doing, but he'll see you. That'll be the fail forward. You just got we're trying to get too close of a view, and then he will notice that you're actually there.
I'll do that.
Okay. So then, I think the stealth test is kind of moot at this point because the guy's focus will be on the other. So we won't do another stealth test for you guys. But yeah, so he kind of turns around and looks up at you. What you can notice, Lieutenant Zhang, is he seems to be trying to reroute power so as to repurpose the computer that powers stellar cartography, or like the subsystem that powers stellar cartography, to basically to reroute over and subvert the main computer. If you were to guess, he's trying to rework this thing so as to get to take advantage of the lockout, or to override the security systems of the computer, the main computer, the Alcibière.
So what rank is he?
He is a ensign. There's
Ensign?
ensign.
Yep.
So he turns around and he sees you, and he says, "Oh, you made it! Boy, am I glad to see you." And he comes over and shakes your hand, and he says, "Ensign LaSalle, you're not alone, are you?"
No, luckily there's 4 of us. Come.
So you guys have successfully made it to the entrance there, and you can hear this conversation happening within. This Ensign LaSalle seems very happy to meet or to see Leanne. So what do you guys do?
Ensign. Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say I'll watch the door. I'd like to. So I think Zarat's going to be focused on security. He's going to try to close the door, so that people walking by aren't going to think. So Romulans, being more specific, aren't going to walk by and think, "Why is that door half open?"
Yeah.
So
Okay.
he's going to try to. Zarat's going to be focused on closing the door, figuring his colleagues are going to be obviously focused on LaSalle.
Sure. So then that would be a fitness and security test.
Okay.
Again, a difficulty 3. So does anyone want to assist with that?
Sure. Why doesn't let me check T'Prel versus Dell? T'Prel will help.
Okay. So go ahead and see if you can add something in there. Boom. So you're 1, so it's only 2 successes is what you need there, Zarath. I think there's still 1 momentum left in the pool.
Okay.
Or hold on, no, there isn't, because that was spent on the spot check, right? Or did you only roll? No, there's still 1 left in there.
I think I'm going to leave that there for Zhang and LaSalle.
Okay.
Because he's key. Getting some information from him, I think.
Okay.
So
you only need 2 successes then to force this thing.
all right. Yeah, I don't think I have any focuses that apply.
Okay.
And let's see. So that's a no. 2 dice. There we go.
Nice. All right,
Just
so
enough.
you're able to put your Andorian muscles into it and slide it shut. And LaSalle looks over and he's like, "Oh, good. I couldn't get it to budge." And he comes forward. He seems pretty eager to thank all of you and introduce himself. I'm Ensign LaSalle. Ensign LaSalle, lovely to meet you.
It's great, Ensign, but what are you up to and how do I help?
Oh, well, first off, where are you from? How did you get here? A rescue ship?
Well, you could call it that. We're from the USS Magellan.
Magellan. And he's thinking about it. He looks like he's trying to remember what it is. And I think he's probably, this is going to be, as long as he gets 1 success on this, I'll let him. No, he has no idea. So you might. He doesn't know the class of vessel, I guess, is what I'm getting at. And a Galaxy is at the time of this adventure. Galaxy is the kind of like, it's the biggest and baddest ship in Starfleet.
Now, Ensign, how long have you been serving on this ship?
I've only been here. This is my first assignment out of the academy. But to be honest, I'm normally assigned to experimental engineering, but things didn't go quite as the captain planned. Did you run into the Romulans?
Unfortunately, yes. So
Yeah.
what happened here? How did the Romulans get on board? What are they up to?
I don't know. We were supposed to do the test of these new engines, but the project it failed. And as soon as we engaged the warp drive, all hell broke loose. The systems were down all over the ship. We were trapped in a localized subspace interference field of our own making. Communications couldn't penetrate the field. We were helpless out there. And we were helpless to know that the Romulans were coming on board as well. Captain Kelly tried to muster a late defense, but we were only able to spread messages at the speed that we could carry our legs. We tried. The chief engineer tried to set up some kind of subspace communications network, but that didn't work. And then the Romulans came on board, and I thought I was the only one. I was able to get stellar cartography working for a brief time. I was hoping to pierce through the subspace field, use the powerful sensors, reroute them, and get through. And that's when I detected your shuttlecraft coming in. I couldn't send you a message, but I could open the doors. But then as soon as you got in, he gestures to the mass of wires and cables and stuff like that, and he says, I didn't want to be doing too much to overtask the system. And they know that I'm here, and they've been shutting down my back doors that I've been setting up through the computer system as fast as I could set them up. I take it you got my message, though?
Well, all we got was your message to come here.
Then you got my message. They shut me out, and I wasn't even sure if that got through or not. So, well, the first thing is the... one second here, guys. The Romulans and main engineering have locked out the systems. And they're keeping us from accessing stellar cartography to see if we could figure out where their ship is. If they came on board, I imagine there's a ship out there. Wait, did your ship see any Romulans?
We saw no Romulans, but as we know, that's not a proof of anything.
Well, I know their sub-commander sent out messages through the subspace. They had set up their part of their awake team set up or made modifications to the chief engineer's attempts to work through the subspace field, and they sent out a message to somewhere, and they got it back. Maybe if we can get this working again, we can find where that message came from, and then we can hopefully relay that back to your ship.
Well, you've been working on this, and let me help you jury rig a solution here.
Okay. Oh, an extra pair of hands, and he kind of looks over, and of course a lieutenant, an officer to help. That'll be great. So the two things we need to do here is we need to bypass the lockout. They keep shutting me down every time I get in. They keep shutting me down, and then I need to reroute power to get here. So do we want to establish the power first, or do we want to try and bypass the lockout? What Dell can tell you is that the concern about to be honest, both of those, there's a risk that doing those things will help. In the same way, if the Romulans were able to pinpoint where that pulse of power came from the medbay, then a miscalculation on these tasks might lead to the Romulans knowing where that they need to come to stellar cartography in order to do that. And, yeah. So, what do you think, guys? Do you want to try? So, mechanic-wise, what these would be, the bypassing the lockout is a control and engineering task with a difficulty of 3. And if you're successful in that, you can pair it with the rerouting power, which is a reason and engineering task with a difficulty of 3.
And the rerouting power, what's the advantage will give us?
Rerouting power just establishes, it gives the necessary power and a stable way to this, to the stellar cartography subsystem.
So it seems to me that if we can get through their lockout, that might help in terms of having some type of notification if a signal gets sent out based on, like, if the power transfer goes wrong or something.
Yeah.
We would at least have a warning that they're onto us based on getting into the computer system effectively.
Okay.
That sounds good. So bypass, eh?
Yeah, I think bypass security first, and then so Dell is going to be really good for routing power, but not so good for doing the computer stuff.
Okay. So who would like to take the lead on control and engineering? Well, if you want LaSalle to help as well, so one of the things, even with LaSalle has an ability called I Know My Ship, where he gains a bonus D20 when attempting a task relating to a technical problem in the Alcibière.
That sounds pretty good.
Yeah, and I think what I'll let you do is, this is not the way it works, rules is written, but basically I'll let you guys roll 2 dice for LaSalle to help you guys. So his control and engineering is a 12, and his reason and engineering is an 11. So who would like to take the lead on this? You guys are the senior officers, just like rank-wise, and ensign is someone who's like, I don't even think they're an actual officer. They might be in the canon, I can't remember, but they're certainly below all of you guys in rank.
What did we decide that Dell is this? This is not Dell's specialty. Is that right?
Dell is going to have a specialty once we deal with the power part of it,
Gotcha.
but not dealing with the computer security part of it.
Gotcha.
Okay.
So I've still got my computer expertise,
Yes.
Okay.
and
Nice.
I guess we don't want to do the jury rig because we wanted to stay up.
Yeah. So if you want to take the lead on the computer expertise, so someone, Sean, you're not controlling anyone extra. Why don't you go ahead and roll 2d20 for me, please.
All right.
Let's see how you do here. So 19. Oh!
How about that?
Dangerously close to a threat for me. So
Hey, close is a negative. Close is still no.
yeah, close is still no, and because of the complication range has not gone down, then you are still safe. So it seems like, you know, the impression that you're getting, Zhang, is like there's certainly a difference between someone who you know, isn't a proper officer with the wealth of experience that they've got from serving on a vessel, and someone who's an ensign. Because like you're looking at this stuff and it's just like this is, you've made this so much more complicated than it actually needs to be. So he offers.
Let me have a go.
Okay. Now let me see here. I want to check one thing. Where's my threat? I'm looking at I got my massive album-sized DM screen. Wow.
Nice.
This is one of the coolest DM screens I've ever owned. Like,
That's cool.
whoa. Just from the sheer size of this thing, like
That's a galaxy-sized GM screen.
it is, yes. Okay. Then Zarath, an eye roll from the engine. So I think what happens is he sort of walks you through, Zhang, and explains all the different things he's done, and like You know how, like, when you talk to someone and then you know, like, look, for me to even start explaining why you're wrong is going to be the, start of a 20-minute conversation, so I'm just going to roll my eyes and go on and do my own thing?
Yeah.
That is precisely what happened here.
Move them aside.
Yeah. So that means, so Zarath, or not Zarath, Zhang, you have a difficulty 3 task before you. You have, let's see here, 1 momentum point left in the pool. Would you like to give me threat to gain extra dice for this?
Could be. What are the skills again?
The attribute and discipline is, for this first one, is control and engineering with a difficulty of 3.
Okay, good. They're my best.
Nice.
And I've got my extra for my computer skill.
Yeah.
And we've got 1 left in the pool, right?
There's 1 left in the pool, yeah.
And this is where the ensign is going to be assisting? Or is that
He did. That was what you rolled for.
He already
Okay.
tried.
Yeah. And that's why he did nothing.
Got it.
The words not so much.
Yeah.
Right.
It's like, when like a kid helps to build a fence, that's,
Yeah.
you held the hammer.
Right.
So what do you think, guys? I've got 4 dice. So I just leave it at that?
And we know what was the difficulty again?
3.
3.
So it would give me 2 threat to get that last 5th dice.
Yep.
I think you should go ahead and take it because it can always generate more momentum. I think that's it strikes me as that's a core to this mechanic is that you don't skimp, you go big because you're hoping to keep that wheel turning.
Yep.
And generate more momentum.
I'm with you, and we're on a crippled ship full of Romulans with
Right.
disruptor rifles. How much more threat can we get?
Full speed ahead. Full speed
There's
ahead.
going to be Klingons as well.
At least use the momentum.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Excellent. Okay, go ahead. I got my threat. I am good to go.
Oh.
Rough. That was a rough one.
Oh, no.
Okay. There are Klingons as well.
And there's 1 threat rolled as well, too. Okay.
Ensign, it was harder than it looked.
Okay, so you set it up, and yeah, that is good of you to not blame the ensign for how he set things up, too. Okay, so then, let's see here. I'm actually going to spend a little bit of threat. And what you see very briefly is the scene cuts into engineering, where there's that red lighting that's going down as well, too. And what you see in there is a bunch of Romulans who are making away, who are monitoring the different stations. And then one of them looks down, and we see in the subtitles, because they're speaking in Romulan, Subcommander Denal. And this guy looks over, and let's see here. In the... you know what it is? Okay, so in the film version of this, Lieutenant Subcommander Denal is played by a younger Lance Henriksen. So the guy from Millennium and the guy from... Aliens. He plays the android in Aliens.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So he walks over, and with that gravelly voice, he says, "Where is it?" And they look up and say, "Stellar cartography." And he, we see him grin, this feral kind of smile, and he's got that angular, Romulan makeup on as well, too, with that ridge that adds it an even more sinister cast. And in the red lighting, it even perhaps looks demonic. So we cut back to you guys, and the Zhang, you've done your things, and oh god, like you're not sure if he's completely cocked this up or what, but all right.
I'm sure it was the ensign. The ensign just screwed it up. There was just no fixing it.
Yeah. So that didn't succeed. I will let you guys try again. And I can't remember what rules is written are for try again, so I'll have to look that up between now and the next session. But what I think I'll say is that you need to give me a narrative description of how you're changing the circumstances in order to engage it again. So what do you guys think?
And we don't have an indication that we might have sent out an indication of where we are, right?
No. Now, if what you had done is you didn't even succeed. So if I'm trying to think here. That would be a gather information something. If someone wanted to spend time to try and to detect that, I mean, you could do that. But what I think more the What you could have done, say, is preemptively spent a piece of momentum to say, listen, I want to gather information with this, whether we succeed or fail, as to whether or not we did accidentally send out information.
I see.
Made it obvious that it would be detected.
Yep.
Although we can probably guess if we failed that taking more tries at it is going to give them better odds of discovering us.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Now, can I suggest? Lieutenant Commander Jang says, Ensign, it was a good try, but I think you're going about it the wrong way. Look, I'm going to go back. I'm just going to try and rebuild this thing the old-fashioned way and jury-rig this thing to get running again.
Nice. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So let's see. So what jury
Would you
rigging?
like a Lieutenant Dell's help with that too, instead of the ensign's help?
Yep. Sounds good.
Seems like that would be good.
Okay. So you start pulling things out, and Lieutenant LaSalle takes a step back, and I get, like, if you're the reason I cast LaSalle as Jason Fleming is because he's got those goggly eyes and that kind of, like, hunch thing. So he's studying this, like, with a great deal of enthusiasm. Like, I didn't even think of doing it that way. And yes, of course we could have done.
Well, and I wonder what he thinks of literally the most junior officer of the group taking over his spot to help. Since Dell is only a junior grade lieutenant.
No, that's still above an ensign.
Yeah.
It's still above an ensign.
Yeah. So, there's maybe a point where LaSalle is like, "Oh, I could help with," and Dell just kind of goes, "That's fine, Ensign. That's fine," and he starts hooking things up for himself. Okay, so let's do this task again. So first off, we've got Dell's aid another. So it'd be against difficulty, or rolling one dice against the. Let's see here. So you know what I'll let him do, because for the aiding, the main task is still going to be control and engineering. But do you? How are you narratively framing what Dell's help is? What do you think?
I wonder if Dell.
Because the way that control is self-discipline, coordination, and fine motor skills. Daring is quick thinking and bravery, or acting without hesitation, and insight is understanding the environment. Reasons are logical and problem-solving abilities. I almost think it might be daring and engineering, because it's going to be related to a jury rig.
Well, and yeah, I was thinking, I wonder if Dell is kind of, because one of Dell's specialties is with power. I wonder if Dell is basically doing his best to kind of quickly move the power around to all the right places, so that the computer can get basically a burst of energy to break through one firewall and then shift tactics and go a different way and all that sort of stuff.
So so I'll say daring and engineering with your focus of power systems added in.
Excellent.
Yep. So let's see how that goes. Nice. Right. Okay, so one success. So you got one so far. Now Zhang. You're doing, let's see here, control and engineering. Yep. You currently got one success. You only need two more. You got 2 in the dice pool plus 1 from your computer's thing. So you got 3 in the dice pool. Do you want to give me...
I also reduced the difficulty by 2 when I jury rigged.
Oh, right. Yeah. So then this is down to 0. So you just need 1 success in order to get this success, and you'll be able to dump that into momentum then.
Then I suggest let's take 1 threat and get an extra die.
Okay, done.
So that's 3 die. Shall I just go with it?
Works for me. 4 dice, because you were from your computers as well.
Thing?
No. Oh, yeah. Okay.
Computer expertise, yeah.
Yep.
Oh, this isn't programming, Lewis. This is
jury rigging. This is how I'm doing it.
Yeah. So I don't think that applies. So it'll be 3 dice.
What's the difficulty again?
3.
0.
Oh, 0 right now.
Started at 3, but it's down to 0 because we got 1 success from Dell, and then -2 difficulty for Lieutenant Commander Zhang's jury rigging abilities.
Okay, well, let's see how this goes.
Well, given how well the 5 went, how could this go wrong?
Nice. More threat. Okay.
So the difficulty was 0, though, right?
It was 0, so that 1 goes into the momentum, but that miscolored 0 there, that means it was a threat.
That's a complication.
Yeah, that's a complication. So I'm just going to quickly check here, see if on the...
This ship's just going to explode at some point.
Yeah, really. So one thing that is not on the DM screen is the complication spends. I know I can spend it for momentum stuff, but there is things you can do with threat that are not there with the others. So let's think here. Let's think.
Well, how much threat is it worth? It's worth 2, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it could be, what about some kind of additional difficulty with the controls in this room, like a short circuit of some kind?
Well, I think I'm going to just take it as further threat. So what we see is you kind of like, things are set up, and there is what was on one of those like pad displays on stellar cartography. It's been flickering and kind of, going in and out. It kind of, it stabilizes, although it's, so it's not the static. There's the proper display that's on there, but it is sort of wavering in and out. So you have got through as long as you can get sufficient power to this, you will be able to try and figure out where that that message was. So you're good to go for now, and with 1 momentum, so this will be temporary. It will last for a single scene, or you can use that momentum to make it last for 1 more scene. What are you thinking? Do you want to put that momentum into the pool for your reroute power check, or do you want to keep that or spend it now to get the thing to last for another scene?
I think we just want to get the power up. We need to get a message out, and that's the priority, right, guys?
So put it in the pool, you're thinking?
Yeah, put it in the pool.
Okay, so this will last. You've got it, and you kind of like, you've hooked up, you've rerouted all those cables, you've unhooked a bunch of the stuff that LaSalle set up, you've got it working, so you're like, okay, all right, let's just hurry up and get power going.
Yep.
Okay.
You guys want to prolong? Okay.
So, who would like to take the lead, and who would like to assist with reroute power? What do you guys think?
So I think Dell takes the lead.
Okay. LaSalle says that... so if you want, he's trying to sort of like help again by giving assistance. So for his help for this task, reason and engineering would be an 11, and you'd roll 2 dice for him because this is his ship.
So Hanor Dell has this talent, testing a theory. When you attempt a task using engineering or science, you may roll 1 additional d20 if you have completed a previous task covering the same scientific or technological discipline. Does that count for when we jury-rigged the power from the shuttle?
Well, you didn't. Who does that? Is that?
That's Dell.
That's Dell. Okay, yeah. Then absolutely. Yep, I'd like you. Yep. Because I think Dell used engineering. The task will be engineering and reason. And it's the discipline, it says, right? If you use the same discipline?
Yeah, if you use the same discipline.
Yeah, he's definitely used engineering quite a bit in this one. Okay, so Zarath, you get out to the doorway, and it's been pushed shut right now too. So I guess you're kind of listening.
I'm just listening for activity.
Okay. All right. So then, let's.
So we need rolls for the ensign's help, and then Dell gets to roll for the main task.
Yeah, and we're gonna. Yeah. So let's do this. As you guys have got that stuff set up, and I think you've been setting up. Like the other characters are not standing around. T'Prell's not just standing around doing nothing during this period. Well, I guess what is T'Prell doing during this? Zarath has positioned himself near the door to kind of listen into whatever, what might be coming down the hallway. What is T'Prell doing? Because she said not much.
T'Prell might be like shifting if there's like chairs or tables or something in here, setting up like cover in case we end up in a firefight here when the Romulans come.
Totally.
She knows that's what's coming.
Yeah. Okay. So, and that fits with her defensive focus as well, too, right? Defensive tactics. So, yeah, you're setting up defensive areas. So, what I'll let you do is that'll give you an asset and we'll call it a trait of accessible cover.
Nice.
Okay. So, when you guys make, defensive whatever, that'll make Yeah. Okay. So, then let's see here. What as you guys are getting ready to reroute this power, we're sort of cutting back and forth between you and Zarath. Zarath, you think you can hear? Oh boy. Why don't we do this? Let's have you roll for me a. Let's see here. It'll be an insight and security check, please.
Okay.
And difficulty is going to be 2.
Do you think starship internal security?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll let you apply that as well.
All right.
We have 1 momentum in the pool if you want to use it.
Or you can give me threat.
Or you could give threat for even more.
So I'm thinking. I mean, I there's always that temptation to buy that 3rd die for 1, but our main thrust here is the activity over at the controls to try to get the power going and all. What do you guys think? Do you want me to? Should I use it or no?
So, you know what? Narratively, I think it would be. This is the decision. Is we see like Zarath. It's whether he's distracted by seeing monitoring the progress at the task or whether he's listening at the door. That's the
Right.
that's sort of like the decision he's making as to whether he's focusing his attention on the task at hand or whether he's just sort of monitoring whether or not they're succeeding.
I think he's all about. I mean, he's all about security. I mean, all this stuff at the computers is fine, but his scores in that are horrible. So I'm just going to say, like, that's taken care of. Lieutenant Commander's got that. I'm all about this. I'm going to shoot someone here in a second. So that's what
Okay.
that's what he's got. He'll spend it. He'll take the extra die, spin the momentum from the pool.
Okay.
He's rolling 3 dice. He's got the focus going.
Here we go. And boom. Nice. Okay. Oh, and it's a threat as well.
Man.
Love it. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to spend 1 extra threat from my pool and that. You can see, you're positioned at the door, and what you hear, there's 2 things that you hear. One is that you hear the boots of people coming down the doorway, and you're like, you're about to say that they're incoming, but then you hear the kind of power is restored to this door, which means that someone just tapping a thing will be able to open it up rather than having to. They learned their lesson from the
Star
medbay.
Trek curse?
It'll be something in Andorian, I imagine. So
that's true.
Yeah. What do you think it is?
I don't even know what.
Okay, so you curse, and now we cut back to the computer task. So we've got who wants to roll for the ensign? Why don't James, you roll for the ensign, and then Arlen, you'll roll for what's his name? For Del.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's 2d20.
So he rolls 2. Okay.
Yeah. We've got company! He's so bad at his job.
Oh, and we've rolled so many 20s.
Zarath, just shoot him.
The ensign's been an ensign for about 10 years. This
Yeah.
is his 5th year as an ensign.
Yeah. He's actually in his mid-40s. Okay, so he's not being super helpful, and I think that he's, what it is he's more distracted by what's going on at the door. He's like, oh no.
He's panicked.
He hears that the sort of the sound of the power being restored to the door.
Yeah.
Oh no. So then now we're at Del. So Del, this is a difficulty 3 task.
Yep.
Okay.
So
you're at
I've got
2.
1 extra die because I already used power.
Yep.
I'm gonna buy a threat. I'm gonna buy an extra die with threat. So I'm rolling 4, and I've got my focus for power systems.
Okay.
Reason and engineering.
So it gives you 4 dice in your dice pool.
4 dice. Do we need more, or is that enough, guys?
Sorry, what was the difficulty again?
3.
Difficulty is 3, so we got to get 3
Man.
successes on. I mean, my reason in engineering is pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah. But with the ensign, who knows?
Yeah.
The ensign just filled his coke on the whole operation. So.
Well, it's interesting. I could have spent that to make a challenge for the thing to make it 1 more difficulty harder, but I elected to bank the threat instead. So
Right. Let's see. Trying to get 3 with 4 dice, but good attribute and discipline. I don't know.
what do you think? One more? No, I mean go big or go home.
Go one more.
All right.
The other option, do you have determination available just for everything on the table here?
I don't know if I could. Well,
Do you have it?
Is there a
I
value?
do have a determination, but I don't
Okay.
know what value would be good.
Yeah.
Because aside from maybe, so test everything to its limits, maybe.
Oh, I see. Right.
But that seems like the closest.
Yeah,
That's
I'd buy that.
Okay. So yeah, how about instead of buying another die with threat, I'm gonna spend my determination.
Okay, so mark that determination off.
Yep.
So that's one die at once.
Does he actually hold on? Does he have any determination left? Because I know he spent some in that first encounter for. Hold on, did he?
I spent one. I know that.
Taprell spent one in the first firefight.
He spent
Value,
focus. I know he used joined. Never mind. I thought that was a determination spend. So he does have that point left still.
Okay.
So Del, yeah. So that means you
Del's
automatically
get one.
So he's
that's
automatically
two.
got 2 successes so far. So you just need 1 more on 4 dice.
Excellent. I think I can do that.
Famous.
Oh, don't say that.
last words. Yeah.
Just keep the ensign away from him. That's all.
Here we go.
Oh. Roll 20's keeping me in suspense.
Seriously.
There we
Hey!
go.
There we
Awesome.
Didn't even need it.
So that means you've got 4 in the momentum pool now. That's pretty awesome. And no 20, exactly.
It's a miracle.
Pretty good. Okay, so then, guys.
and Del gets to do a special thing for untapped potential. He gets to roll one of the 6-siders to test if he gets the momentum back.
Oh, excellent. Okay.
Oh.
Yeah, so go ahead and roll. And if he gets an effect? Nothing. Okay.
So he doesn't get any extra momentum back. But
Okay. So
Nice.
when that comes up, you've got LaSalle is standing there with his tricorder. So it goes up, and he immediately starts, getting readings from this thing. He's like, "It's working! It's working!" And that's when you hear, we'll be dropping into initiative for the next round because those guys are at the door and they're about to. We see in sort of like the film version, they're running up towards the door to hit the pad on the wall to get the thing open. But I see we're at our 1.5 or at our halfway mark right now too. Why don't we take our 5-minute break for mid-session, hit the head, refresh our beverages, come back, and have another encounter with the Romulans.
Time to take it to him.
Right.
Yes. Okay, so we'll be back in 5.
Sounds good. So that last roll was to boost power, right?
The task roll was to boost power. The challenge die roll was because to Hanordell, because he's a young officer, he has this special ability that basically lets him uh, keep momentum that he spends, or
Yep.
to turn threat back into momentum.
Yep.
The untapped potential.
Nice. And what was the difficulty of the task?
It was
Three, right?
Yeah, 3. And then I spent a determination for 2 successes, so we've
Yep.
got 4 momentum that we're looking at. So one of the things I was thinking about is, I don't know, since we were dealing with power, if we might be able to like turn on the lights in the hallway or something, so that as soon as they open the door, the Romulans would be basically silhouetted in the doorway.
Yeah.
That might make it easier to shoot them in that first round.
Right. I like it. That's because we're going to need it.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know how many doors this room we don't know how many doors this room has. We can probably guess there might be a Jeffrey tube, but still, that's a bad Jeffrey tube strikes me as a bad way of retreating from a firefight underway.
Well, and especially, it was a joke before, but surely boarding crews know that one of the most effective weapons in close quarters is not the big rifles, but tossing grenades around the corner.
Right. Yeah, if they have grenades, that's all bad. If Kevin suddenly decides to get his Romulan grenade on.
Yeah.
Is there anything else we could do with the power while Dell's in there? Pull the power on the door, or?
A good question. It's just a matter of whether they get it open first, because if they get it open first, then we can't close it.
Yep.
But it's a good thought.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry about that, guys. You know what? I think I set up. Ooh.
How's is
There
it
we
Mary
go.
Lou?
Emmy Lou is
Emmy
doing.
Lou.
She's doing really well. I mean, she's almost done her second round of chemo treatment now, and she unfortunately took we're not sure if she's gonna be out of remission right now. She's had some swelling, so that's not great. But the fucking dummy. This is how little dogs are affected, or at least Emmy was affected by chemo. We were going for a walk yesterday, and she's got so much energy still that she went racing up to go in this fence. We had to cross the street, so I was kind of like trotting across the street. She runs fucking pell-mell across the street at the end of her leash up to this fence where this other dog was, and kind of slammed herself into the fence, and I had to pull her back, try and get her back under control, and then she spazzed out and fell. And somehow in the course of one of those two things, she managed to chip a tooth.
Oh.
So it's just like, she's a pit bull boxer, so she's just like tough as old shoe leather. So like she didn't notice whatsoever. Her tail's still going, her head's up, but she's got blood coming out of her mouth. Like such a dummy. But she's doing very well. Thank you. She's it's been 2 years, almost 2 years since her cancer diagnosis, and she's gone through, been in remission mostly for that whole period, so she's doing fucking terrific. Cool. But thank you for asking. I'm always happy to talk about Emmy.
Yeah.
My Chewbacca.
Right.
I've got coffee steeping right now, so I'm going to grab that in a moment. But I guess first thing, before we jump into the actual scene again, I love running this game so much.
Yeah.
Like, this is such a fun system where, like, everything I don't ever feel like we're just doing role-playing, but it feels like the game allows you to do non-combat stuff and still be, like, interfacing with a game mechanic in a really meaningful and interesting way.
Yeah, I agree that I think it does that particularly well. I mean, a lot of games struggle with they specialize in combat, most games, right?
Yeah.
And then some social interaction. They try to do that. Some do better than others. But if you have tasks that aren't combat and aren't social interaction, that's pretty tough. Most games don't do that very well, and I think that Star Trek has really made an effort to make that meaningful, and they've done a pretty good job.
Yeah, I totally agree. I like that. Like, there's an adage from improv where they talk about like it's yes and. We always want to kind of like build on whatever the last thing was and try and link in. And the mechanics of the momentum pool is just awesome that way, where you kind of give a meaningful mechanical effect and threat for that matter too. Like, I've been spending threat to do things behind the scenes here.
Yes. Yeah. Conan got me excited about that. That momentum threat thing is nice. That mechanic has got a lot of juice, a lot of meat on that bone.
Definitely. Yep. So then, guys, let's. I'll be another like.
So one of the things we were wondering is if Dell, since we're rerouting power around, if we might be able to turn on the lights in the hallway so that when the Romulans open the door, they'll be basically like silhouetted in the doorway and therefore hopefully easy to shoot for that first round.
So I think what Dell would have to do is to run over and access it's gonna be a really hard task, as for one, just because like getting access to it and whatever else and getting all that done in one round is, and they have the advantage of like that. It's they've got control over main engineering, so they can kind of restore power. Where,
but Arlen wouldn't be able to. T'Pral wouldn't be able to spend momentum just generated for them to flash on. That's kind of what he's asking, right?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Since we generated a lot of momentum with the power test, if we could use it to create an advantage. And that was the first thing that came to mind.
To basically like make it easier for you guys to get an advantage where it's pulsing there. I think if
make the GM think, make him think.
Well, no, I'm just trying to think of the cost. Like my instinct is it's going to cost you 4. It normally costs you 2, but because of there's 2 factors that in like what we've established in the fiction right now that play against that is one, it's a jury rigged thing. So this is sort of standing on the shoulders of a rickety ladder, right? And then I know I'm mixing metaphors there, but too bad. But the other thing is that it's accessing, like we've established that you're struggling to gain access to this one subsystem as is, to be able to then reroute that to go out there. Now, it's not impossible. If you spend 4 to do that, then that will be a thing. I'll actually even let... I'll go one better, and because that's pulsing, it'll make their things more difficult as well. So if the light is going freaky outside, then I'll also make their tasks more difficult too. So not
How
only
long would that last?
That'll last for the scene.
For the scene,
yeah, or until they do something to address it.
That's not bad. That's an ongoing thing. That's not bad.
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's do it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you see the door, and then like I think the sequence is like Zeroth says, we've got company, and LaSalle looks up and he's like, the door, it has power, and Dell at the last second kind of says okay, and, boom, hits something, and then we see this now weird strobing effect outside where the Romulans are, and they're all kind of like, what the?
And the door did open?
Did not, but it has power. So now we're going to drop into a tactical round here, and remember, because of T'Pral's ability, 2 of you guys get to act before the Romulans do, and I'm not going to spend any threat to have them go first. Now, so what do you guys think here? Who would like to take an action first? And...
let's see. I would like to wait until that door opens. So if someone else wants to go.
Now,
well, we could ready actions.
Yeah. What does that do again? Remind me.
That's just an if-then if situation do task.
I'll do that. I mean, when the door opens, I'm definitely going to fly into action. Is Zeroth's plan. So.
Well, now hold on. Is this what you guys want to do? Is to get into a shootout in stellar cartography with these guys?
Are you asking the group, or are you asking Zeroth?
I'm asking you guys as a group. No,
it's a piece of Romulan.
I know what Zeroth wants as well too, but I guess like with being the defensive tactics, like you've got yourself set up in a nice, a nice defensive position here, but just sheer numbers wise, and knowing that they have control over engineering, they do have a great deal of tactical advantage over you. So,
well, but I think T'Pral might be thinking about in that first firefight where we were able to kind of lay down a lot of fire real quickly and
The
overwhelm
one where you suffered a wound that required
No,
surgery?
The one before that. The first round of the firefight before they came back.
Oh, that was all one. Yeah, you took down one of
well,
them, and then they regrouped.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
we shot like 2 of them, and they had to make a tactical retreat for at least a second. That might be our move to regain the initiative. Is get ready for a quick volley and then do something else.
Okay. So, because just like you right now do not know how many of them there are.
Yep.
I'm fine with you guys to get into a firefight, but I don't want you guys to get in over your head by virtue of not reading the situation correctly.
Is
So
there-
just
Is there another way
there.
out? Is there another exit on the other side of the room, or is it a one?
Well, so
way?
Haven't
what
looked.
we could definitely do is we could have T'Prel and Zeroth being ready to start shooting, and then at least Dell, because I don't think Dell is particularly good at shooting, and maybe Lieutenant Commander Zhang could be looking for a secondary exit to get us out of here.
Okay.
LaSalle, how do we get out of here? It's your ship.
LaSalle, asking him would be a good idea too.
Now, one of the things that I'll point out too, like one of the advantages of this kind of such a loose, structure to the skills and things like that. If I were to put another trait in there, there is a trait of closed door. What you could do is try and use things to change that to become a locked door, or to change that whatever. Like the closed door, presumably the way I've described it is that they're going to hit the door and then it's going to open up and they're going to come in. You could perhaps run a subroutine, jammed computer. That could create a problem for them as well. So with that right now, until that door opens, they're on the other side. They're not able to get into a tactical combat. So if you were thinking of something for, and this is one of the things that is really cool about this system, is that everyone can do neat and useful things by coming up with narrative ways. That's not just the only way, but I mean, Dell could kill the lights in here, kill the right now there's emergency lighting in here. You could set it so there's no lighting in here.
That's a good call.
Right?
I mean,
So you could.
Since we got 2 guys going before they do, it's a good thought that we can use those two, because it did feel, I will say, it felt like it was too late. They're at the door. It's got power. I think that's why I was moving.
No, and that's why I wanted to bring it up is not to force you guys to do something different. It's just that to remind you that this game is still much more. When you're rolling initiative, it doesn't mean okay, now I can only use my combat things. You still can transition things, and that's very much supportive of the source material. Right? Is that. Setting J.J. Abrams stuff aside, it's rare that it just degenerates into just a bunch of blaster fights and stuff like that. There's always some purpose.
I will say, I think mechanically, what I should have done is that learning that since if Kevin's not going to spin that threat to have his guy go first, which is going to open the door and make that too late. At that point, Kevin says, "I'm not spinning the threat.
Yep.
You guys go first." I should have been thinking, and will think now. Let's try to, Zeroth will say, let's try to get that door locked, so maybe we'll use that first, our initiative now to head them off. And then maybe the next guy can either, that for sure, that seems like a no-brainer now. And then maybe the second guy can think of he can either assist with that, which is a very, worthy pursuit, or as Kevin said, maybe get our lights off entirely, which will increase that advantage we already have with that strobe light outside.
Yeah, and you guys can still do a tactical, don't just because I'm saying that's one thing you can do. You can also, you guys have taken some really good steps so far and set up some good defensive stuff, so you may be able to get involved in a firefight from a really advantageous position as well.
Well, and part of what I'm thinking, turning off the lights seems like a good idea if we get into a firefight, but if we turn off the lights while we are also working on sealing the one exit that we know about, we're going to have basically no avenues of retreat if it turns into a firefight.
Yeah. So what do you think?
Are there any obvious other doors? Is there an obvious one, Kevin?
I think
if there's just a door, we probably saw it if it's just sitting there.
You know what?
Right?
I'm gonna. I mean, I think that I'm trying to think what might be accessible to this. If there's I think there's probably some kind of maintenance, unit or maintenance closet that probably. I'm going to take a little bit of threat for setting us up, but there probably is a there's probably like some kind of like either maintenance thing or like, you know, the equivalent of like a server room kind of thing, where you know, you can get in there and then there may be access to Jeffrey's tubes there because they seem to lead everywhere in the ship.
Gotcha.
Right.
Yep.
And actually, you know what? I think there probably is. Or alternatively, what there is maybe there's grating in the floor. You know, somewhere where you can pull the grating up, because there would stellar cartography would require an enormous amount of like, you know, horsepower, as it were, to be able to calculate the various things moving around in the galaxy, and the ship moving, and the rotation of the galaxy itself. So there's probably got to be some pretty big piping that runs up from elsewhere in the ship. So once again, you could, if you wanted to try and retreat in that one, that's a way you might be able to get away. So what are you guys thinking? I'm going to go grab my coffee. I want you guys to talk over what approach you think. Because you guys would have talked about this. I imagine playing with both T'Prell's defensive tactics and Zaroff's, kind of tactical mindedness, that you guys would have talked about, if they reach us here, we know we need to go next. So I'll be right back.
Did you tell us we had 2 guys going first, right? Did you say
two
that?
guys? Yeah.
Because of T'Prell has a special ability to maintain the initiative.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Well, Zaroff's definitely going to yell out, let's get this door locked. We got company. Let's get this door locked. So I would suggest at least one person, not Zaroff. He sucks at it, and he's at the door. So someone try to maybe lock it, and maybe the second person assist, or I think getting the I don't know. What do you guys think?
A couple of I think we should lock the door, and I'm probably okay at that. And then the other one is, can LaSalle get us through the tutor? He's apparently knows this ship backwards.
Yep.
And maybe we go back to why don't we try going to engineering and attack as the best form of defense?
Nice. Yeah. Try to take it to them.
So what do we think, guys? Oh, so if you've asked about this, I'll let this have happened beforehand as well. If you asked about engineering, what LaSalle could have told you, because he has been sort of, formulating this cockamamie plan to kind of take the ship back on his own. Engineering contains an emergency access conduit on the upper level. Unless the Romulans studied the emergency evacuation schematics, they won't know about it. So that's one way to get in. The conduit connects with a Jeffries tube outside of the chief engineer's office. And a Jeffries tube on this deck, where you guys are, links up with the tube outside the engineer's office. With the Romulans looking for them, using the Jeffries tubes to travel between decks will be dangerous. But it turns out that your approach that you guys used, going with using the turbo shafts to go between decks, that will likely be safe. Okay, so that's what while you guys were chatting about setting up the setting up the power to the stellar cartography.
So I think we're thinking that Zhang's going to try to lock the door, right, Lieutenant Commander Zhang, and then the rest, and maybe the second person can assist, whoever can make that call. In the meantime, the rest of us, in case that fails, we'll be ready for. In the unlikely event that fails, that we will be braced to defend.
Okay.
Something like that.
I think LaSalle should concentrate on how we'll get to engineering, and please don't help me.
He, could have understood. Okay, so have you guys got a plan of action in mind here?
So I think, Zhang's going to go first, right, and try to lock that door?
Yep.
Okay.
I'll try and do that.
I'm standing by. I mean, Zaroff's just going to stand by in case that door opens at the moment.
Okay.
So do we want someone to help me, or?
I would think so. That door lock's a big deal.
Okay, so I think it'll be each run you get one minor action and a task action, and each addition.
Assist is a task.
Assist is a task, yeah, and to get over to from where you guys are, to get over there, Zaroff is at the door. I'm picturing. Here, just if we want to have a visual representation of it, you guys are back over here, and Zaroff's at the door, which would be the other, the other zone, I guess. So Zaroth is there for Zang to run over there. It'll be a minor action to get over there, and then it'll be a combat task to, or yeah, I guess that's what it's called, a task to actually reroute that. And you said you wanted someone to help as well.
What about Dell for the assist?
Yeah, we could have Dell assist, certainly.
Okay. I mean,
And
Dell.
Tuprell's got some cover, right? Has an
Yeah, I
asset?
think Tuprell's gonna stay kind of. I'm imagining like a kind of old west firefight style, a table over on its side, and Tuprell kind of crouched over it with the phaser ready.
Sure.
Nice.
But it's one of these like pristine white,
It's
plastic tables that, yeah.
Sci-fi version, right? 'Cause this is all the sci-fi version of Western
It's
tropes.
Starfleet IKEA.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, exactly. It's actually called a Tuprell.
Right.
All right, so then it sounds like first person taking an action is going to be, or the first two actions will be Dell and Zhang. So you guys move over here. Boom, boom. And what is, describe for me what Dell is doing to try and assist here.
Well, we've got like a control panel next to the door, right? And
Yep.
we're trying to type on it or put in a security code or something like that.
Okay. Yeah,
I'm
so
assuming that's what we're doing.
Yep. So I think that'll be so because you're just trying to like create a temporary kind of lockout for it, I will say daring and engineering again. I think.
right.
Yeah, because he's not really having time to sort of think this through. Does Dell have any?
I don't think there's anything relevant.
No
to-
focus. So, yeah. So go ahead, roll one dice, and let's see how it goes.
Yep. Engineering and daring.
Boom. Oh, roll 20 is keeping you in
Minute.
suspense again.
Take a minute.
Nice.
No.
Whoa. So his fingers are running across it, and Zhang, I think what's like in the fiction, someone has set up on this. This is an older ship that's been refitted, at least once, possibly more than once. You're just like, oh, it's still got an old computer code or computer setup in it. But Zhang, let's see if you can get this thing working. So it'll be, I think it'll be a difficulty 2. So why don't you give me for you, I think it's the daring and engineering, and you'll get the extra dice because it's a computer's thing. So you're starting at 3 dice right now. Do you want to give me any threat?
Oh, I think so.
Okay.
Yes, please. Could we have 1? So that makes 4.
Yep.
Nice.
Okay, and here we go. Nice!
Oh,
Excellent. Okay, so yeah, so on the outside, what we see is, you see kind of like there's maybe like a different coloration that kind of goes around the pad display, and the Romulan walks up and kind of and their whole action for that first Romulan is going to be hitting that pad and then trying to gather information about what the hell's going on, and he's kind of hitting at it and has realized now that he's been locked out. So that's their action. One of you guys can go.
And how much momentum did that generate, if any?
That's 2. You got 2 in the momentum pool
Okay.
now.
Cool. Let's see. Our next, we've got the power up, right? We did the bypass. We got the power.
Yep.
And
The
now
lights
we
are
wanna
flashing around outside for the Romulans.
Now we want to head out, right? We're trying to get to where our
Yep.
plan is to go to engineering.
Okay. So I think that is just going to be kind of, going as fast as you can. So I think it'll be just a fitness and security test. This is you, scrambling through there as fast as you can. LaSalle knows exactly where you guys are going. So who would like to go first?
And he's taking us through Jeffrey tubes. Is that right?
Yeah, there's a Jeffries tube that is sort of accessible. Maybe I'm picturing it's like you can kind of pull back a grating and then you're able to hop down into the Jeffries tube and start making your way towards the turbo shaft.
Well, Zaras says, "I'll go last. Get in there."
Okay, so LaSalle is down and in there, and he's starting to make his way. What about to Prowl and so Zarath is saying he's going to go last. So I guess he's gone. Another one of the Romulans is they're talking to each other outside, and one of them runs up to the pad and is going to try and get that door open. So let's see here. I'm going to spend 2 threat to get some extra dice here. And let's see how they do. Oh boy! I just rolled a 20, and I'm not gonna spend the complication. I'm not gonna spend the threat to get rid of the complication. What happens is they basically make it worse. The pad sort of flashes, and then it goes down, and he's kind of like ah, and you see in subtitled in Romulan, Federation garbage. So he did get some successes, though, so the door kind of like cricks open about a quarter of the way that it should. And then it freezes there. So they can't actually fit through, but they can sort of fit, they can see part of the way through there. So next up is either Zarath or to Prowl. You can see it's open just a scooch now. And let me see here. I think if I had index cards sitting on the table with the things in there, I would cross that out and put down half or open a scooch. So what I'd say is that you would take it can increase difficulty of range attacks by 2, going both ways. So there, with all the flashing lights and whatnot, it's gonna be near impossible for them to hit.
I'm going to Zarath is rash and reckless.
Yep.
So he is going right into that gap, and he's going to try to overcome that. I'm not sure if we call it a trait at this point.
Yep.
Maybe it is. He's going to try to overcome that trait, the 2 difficulty change, because he's right there.
Sure.
And he's going to stick his phaser not all the way through it, but right at it, and try to shoot one of them.
Sure. Yeah. So basically, what I'd say is that then that penalty won't apply one way or the other. So you don't suffer it, but they don't suffer it either.
Okay.
Because of you jamming yourself out there. Okay. So then. You currently have 2 in the momentum pool. The task it's control and security, I think, to shoot, right?
That sounds right.
Yeah, here we go. I got my rules summary. One of the handy, so this part of the DM screen comes with these handy little, paper handouts for the different positions.
Nice.
Yeah, it's really good thing. It doesn't come with an adventure like some DM screens do, but I don't really care because I rarely use those things anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so combat. Over here. Tactical tasks. Nope, that's conflict resolution. Here we go. All right. Yeah, control plus security. Difficulty task of 2.
All right. Let's see. He's got multiple talents that may. Let's see. Attacking a spin. Take a single.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, he's got some interesting talents on this guy.
No, sorry, I was saying James had said that. I think there's a big typo on several of those handouts, though. I got to check errata then.
Oh, it's just an ugly thing. It's not a wrong number or anything. The spelling mistake on one of the titles.
Is that why it says motherfucker on here? That's weird.
That's it. Yeah. Careless of them.
It does seem very off-brand. Although Quentin Tarantino is apparently directing a Star Wars film, so who knows?
So I've got a talent of bold.
Yep.
Whenever you attempt a task with security and buy 1 or more d20 by adding a threat, you may re-roll a single die in the pool.
Ooh. Are you telling me I get more threat?
I think I do, because it doesn't seem to give me the option of spending any of our momentum to do so. So I think I'm going to give you a threat.
Okay.
Buy that 3rd die.
Okay.
Let me see. My focus is I have hand phasers as a
Yep.
focus.
Absolutely.
Yep.
You also have one. You could spend a point from the momentum pool to gain an extra dice as well.
That would cost me 2, right?
No.
Fourth die. Oh, what do you think?
Well, it's not how many dice you've got. It's how many you're buying with momentum. First one you buy with momentum is 1. Second one is 2.
I'm doing it.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay. Momentum pool's down to 1.
Yep. Okay.
That means you got 4 dice right now, and you can re-roll one of them.
Perfect. I'm going.
Here we go.
Right. Yes. Everything looks good.
we go. And difficulty is actually only 0 because of 1 because of the flashing lights.
Oh, right. Good.
Yeah.
Good
Holy
check.
shit. Okay, 1, 2,
Nice.
3, 4, 5 successes. So that means you got 4 momentum from that shot. You can also, once you roll a d20 for us, you can re-roll that one that got a 0.
All right. Let's see. Rolling a d20.
There we go. Big money.
Not so good.
Boom. Not as good, but no threat. So that's good, or no complication. True. All right, so then you got 4 right now. Go ahead and roll. Click on your Type 2 phaser.
Yes.
Let's see how you do.
It feels good to be clicking on my Type 2 phaser.
Hell yeah.
So it says. Oh, and it says 3, and it's gonna automatically add in my security.
Yes,
right?
we found that out. Yeah.
Right. I'm remembering.
Holy shit! 1, 2,
There we
3,
go.
4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
There
Holy
we
smokes!
go. You know, and it seems right because I'm going through that gap. They're kind of taken by surprise, and I'm just letting one of them have it. Right through that gap.
Okay.
Lighting them up.
Now you didn't. So one of the things to bear in mind too is your charge ability. You didn't take advantage of this yet, but what the charge does is basically while the phasers aren't as like deadly as like the disruptors or whatnot, they're a lot more versatile that allow you to add a bunch of traits to it. So you could put it on heavy stuns so that each of those things, each of your extra successes, counts as 2 points of damage or the effect counts as 2 points of damage rather than 1. Or you could set it to area if you put it on area stun.
Now, and that happens before the roll or after the roll?
I think you have to spend an action to sort of to sit there and kind of like doo-doo-doo-doo and like rework it. That's the way.
And that's through the charge quality?
Yeah, it's the charge quality. Like the charge quality is you going and changing the setting on your phaser.
And so that's not through a effect, since I have 4 of them.
No, it's sort of like a meta effect or a meta trait where like it allows you to access a bunch of other things. Now, but while we're learning that, I think that your character would have known that. So is there another one? Is there a sub-trait that you would have selected for it?
Sorry, give me the quick rundown again of my choices. Heavy stun.
So stun, let's see here. So what it allows you to do. Where are you?
And these would have cost me a momentum, is that correct?
No, it's an action, I think. So charge.
A minor action to charge, yes.
Yeah, so it's only a minor action. Prepare a minor action before attacking with this weapon. One of the following weapon damage effects may be used. Area, which is for every 2. I think it's area. Covers a wide area. It automatically affects any character or damageable object within reach of the initial target. It also affects one additional target within close range of the initial target for each effect. So, like, say that could have actually, if you had area on that, that would have affected 1, 2, 3, 4 Romulans in addition to the first one.
I don't know how I turned that down.
Yeah, really.
And I think, I know
That's
we're
badass.
doing it after the fact, but I do think it's reasonable. Like, I know that they're clustered at the door.
Well, there's 2 things. Is that, for one, we're all learning the rules, too. So, I'm fine with going back and bombing Berlin when we have to. And 2, your character, it's very in nature that you would have been like, it's the, Star Trek equivalent of the guy, like, spinning the cylinders in his, if we're sticking with a Western motif here, spinning the cylinders and then testing the action of his gun, as it were. So, so you hit all of them with the wide angle stun. They're all affected. They're not down, unfortunately, but they're hit with a wave of that.
They're on notice.
They're definitely on notice, yeah. And I think, so then they're the ones who would go next. One of them's going to sort of like run and take cover.
So I have another suggestion.
Sure.
So Zeroth, you could spend 1 momentum to take an extra minor action to move out of the way of that doorway, it seems like.
No, because and I'll tell you why. Is because it's I think cost-wise, it would have cost at least 2 momentum. If he wants to give me 2 threat to do that.
Yeah. Well, we have 4 momentum to.
Oh yeah. So totally.
So
4 just from the roll.
So if you spend 2, I'll let you duck out and duck back for sure.
I think that's a good call.
Well,
I mean,
because what I was going to say is that
Yeah.
you could duck out of the way, and then T'Prel on her action could take the guard action and basically hunker down in cover and be the only available target and really hard to hit.
nice.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah, love it.
Let's do that.
Okay, so you got 2 left in there. One of the Romulans dives or goes for cover against the wall, and is not going to get a shot off on you from because it can't quite see you. T'Prel, what are you doing?
Let me just say, I think we had. I want to say we had 1 in the pool, and I generated 4.
You spent that one in the pool, didn't you?
There was 2, and I spent 1 of them.
Oh, yes, you're right. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, so it's actually 3 in the momentum
We
pool
have-
right now.
We have 3, I think. Yeah.
Okay.
So T'Prel is going to take the guard action, which is a difficulty 0 task, to make any attacks against the character +1 difficulty for each success rolled. And
Excellent.
I assume, so it seems to me that daring and security would be
Yep, I'd allow that.
a good thing. All right.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to use one of our momentum to get up to 3.
Okay.
And I think my focus of defensive tactics would probably apply to taking cover.
Yep.
So yeah, let me roll it.
Okay, go ahead.
All right, so +2 difficulty for them to actually hit me.
Nice. Okay. So you're firing. I'm picturing this being a little bit of like covering fire. We see, the shot of the phasers going outside the door. On the next action, nice. The Romulans are also likewise, going for cover and taking. One of the other ones is going to take a defensive position. I think you guys are out of actions, right?
Yes.
Okay, so the rest of the Romulans have taken up defensive positions. That'll be the end of that round. We have Ensign LaSalle is in the Jeffries tube, making his way down towards the first junction with the first turbo shaft. Back to you guys. 2 of you guys get to go. Who would like to go first?
I think only one of my special ability only applies to the first round.
Oh, does it? Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
We can spend momentum to keep the initiative, but it's only free for the first round.
Okay.
Gotcha.
So I'm going to spend. Well, I'll let you guys go first, but then I'm going to spend some threat to do some stuff here.
Okay,
Alright.
so who's where? Let's see. So we got LaSalle's in the tube.
LaSalle's in the tube. T'Prel is one. What do you call it? T'Prel and Dell are right up against the kind of the door here in one zone. That line that cuts across here, I'm just sort of using that as an abstract way of understanding where everyone is in relation to each other, in relation to the door. T'Prel is about like 1 zone away from entering the Jeffries tube. So it'll be a minor action to get into there. And the others are 2 zones away.
Yeah. So T'Prel's guard is going to stay up until she takes another action. So it seems like putting her at the end of our turn
Sure.
is the thing to do to stay in cover. Seems like what we might want to do is put Dell or Lieutenant Commander Zhang into the Jeffries tube following up the ensign.
Who wants to follow the ensign? Dell?
Yes.
Get
I
Dell
think
down there.
that's a good call.
Okay.
And Kevin, you told me that what did Zaroth see when he shot? That how many bad guys were we dealing with?
I didn't say. There's probably about 6 of the 6 Romulans you could spot at least.
Got it.
Okay. So is that what's happening then, guys? Dell's going to go?
Yeah.
Okay, so his action or his task and his what do you call it? His minor action?
That's just minor, yeah.
Yeah. Will be to get and dump down in. Does he want to give momentum to start making his way down? Make that fitness and security check to start making his way along the Jeffries tube?
What would it cost him?
It'll cost 1. Was it 1 momentum or 2 momentum to get an extra
For another
minor?
action? That would
For
be-
another task or another minor?
Minor.
Another minor is just 1.
Just 1. Okay, so we give me 1 more threat. What do you guys think?
Or 1 from the pool, right?
Or yeah,
Can
you
we
got the
not
momentum,
spend
of course.
from the
Yeah.
pool like that?
Yeah.
I can't remember which ones we can spend from the pool like that and which ones we have to spend from a task.
I think it's an immediate. Hold on. I think it's an immediate spend. Extra
Okay.
minor action is it's an immediate one, so you can spend from there. Keep the initiative as an immediate spend. Avoid injury is an immediate spend. Those are the only ones that you can use your pool.
Cool. All right. So yeah, let's spend 1 momentum to have Dell be basically right on the instance.
So someone give me a just a difficulty 0 fitness and security test for Dell, please.
Fitness and security. I don't think any focus applies.
No.
Let's do that.
Okay,
Man.
gets down there, jams his knee on the inside, and like, ah, gah! And unfortunately does not make any progress. Then one of the for the what do you call it? The Romulan's turn. I am going to spend some threat, and I'm going to get rid of that. The pulsing is back to normal now in the hallway, so I've gotten rid of that trait.
Mm-hmm.
That is my action, though. Who wants to go next?
And so we've still got, let's see, so...
Oh, you know what? So narratively, what we see... Sorry to interrupt, Sean.
Yeah, go.
I think they just, like, the guy who seems to be in charge of this, or maybe it's a lady, she looks up and fires her disruptor and hits, like, just the right spot so that it all stops pulsing.
Yep.
Okay, so sorry, your turn. Or you're saying...
So, let's see, Lieutenant Commander Zhang's still up here, Lieutenant Prell is still up here, and Dell's still up here because he just banged his knee into the grid or whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know what? I think Zaroth is thinking that, first of all, he's thinking that he's probably going to be last in that tube, whether that's true or not. And he's thinking that there's still a lot of people to get in that tube, so he's going to actually dive into that gap again and take it to him.
Sure, yeah, all right.
Yeah.
So to Prel, think that Zaroth will still benefit from your guard thing. It's just that you see him jump in and you're just like...
I'm the only one who benefits from guard.
Oh, you are? Okay.
I didn't take it as a special... You can take it as a special action to give it to somebody else.
Ah, okay.
But I took it as just for me, basically me
Okay.
kind of covering fire over myself.
Okay, so you see him jump in the way, you're like, whoa! And you sort of like stop firing with your phaser. So you are currently at a 2. Difficulty is now 2 to hit the Romulans.
Okay.
Now, did you want is your thing still set on wide, like wide angle stun?
I think I have to. It's too juicy. I mean, they're kind of around that door, right? So
Yeah.
It's a natural.
They do have cover though. So what that'll do is it'll give them resistance against that. I mean, it'll give if you target an individual, they will have resistance as well. But what it does is I roll an effect dice or a what is it called, challenge dice, and then for every Federation thing that I roll, then I get that.
That's a good call. I think I have to go area.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go area. Does Zaroth? I guess for everyone's benefit, it wouldn't just be Zaroth's awareness, but did Dell block the way in his incompetence? Did he block the way to the Jeffrey tubes?
Dell did. I don't think so. I'll say that it doesn't. You'll be able to sort of like jump past him if someone does want to.
Okay, just for clarification.
If he rolled a complication, that would absolutely be the case.
Oh,
but
nice.
yeah.
Keep that in your pocket, Kev.
Done.
Let's see. I'm looking at my talents right now. I think I'm going to stick with that same talent. It worked well once. I'm going to do it again. So Kevin, I'm giving you 1 threat.
Okay.
Even though because it has to be a threat for this for a 3rd die.
Okay.
And I think in the spirit of both the character and the mechanics, I'm going to go ahead and spend a 1 from the pool for a 4th die.
Nice. Okay.
To keep the wheel turning here, the momentum pool, the momentum wheel turning. So I got 4 dice. That leaves 1 in the pool, and we're good to go with my talent letting me re-roll 1 die.
Yeah. I want to point out, too, that you've got it set up so that when you update the momentum pool, for those listening at home, this is how good my players are. It reads, Starfleet records indicate that the momentum pool currently contains, and then has the accurate amount. That is awesome.
I geeked out. They're like 4 weeks ago, I got all fired up. And I thought everyone could use it, but as we already determined, since I'm a player, no one else can use it.
Well, we can see it though, which is great. So I mean, it just means that you'll track what the momentum pool is. That's good. Yeah. So okay. So go ahead and make your roll. You're rolling 4 dice. It sounds like.
Rolling 4 dice.
Yeah, and difficulty 2.
1 from the pool, and I gave you 1 threat.
Yep.
All right.
Oh, you can be sure I took that.
Oh.
Oh no!
Brutal.
Okay, so you know what I'm gonna do is that complication you've just.
I get to roll one.
You get to reroll one with bold, right?
Yeah.
Do I get to choose? Do I get to choose which one I reroll?
It does not say that you can't re-roll the complication, so I'm fine with that.
Okay.
Yeah, you can re-roll one of those complication ones.
I mean, at the very least, it's a success if it's not a complication, right?
Yeah.
Oh, that's a big roll, right?
Nice! That's two successes.
That's a big roll.
So you do actually hit.
Wow,
now,
that talent just seriously turned the tide right there a little bit.
Yeah. Okay, so I am going to spend some threat. Let's first resolve what you've done there.
Yeah.
So go ahead. You've got now 1 momentum. So go ahead and roll your what is it? Challenge dice.
Okay. Yep.
I think should it be concerning that I forget the name of it every time? I'm like, it's up there.
Dice?
I got the memory of a fucking Etch-a-Sketch. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so 5 with 2 effects. That means you could potentially hit 2, but the thing is, I think there's only 2 that you could hit in close range. They have realized what you were doing, and they've spread themselves out in the corridor a bit. So it's not a huge hit, and with the cover, it does blunt a lot of it, but you do still that wide-angled stun does tag them. However, I'm spending
5, right?
I'm spending threat, and I'm using that complication. One of them got ready to take a shot at you,
Okay.
so they are going to try and take advantage of this. And
What about the effects? The phasers don't have an effect, right?
Well, the effect that you've got is so for each effect you rolled, that's one extra target in close range that you can hit. That's how area works.
That's the area.
Great.
Yeah.
Great. Perfect.
Okay, so I bought my extra dice. Actually, you know what? I'm going to buy a couple extra here. Oh my goodness. All that threat's coming home to roost.
Right. Here we go.
All right, I need to find my stats on my...
Now, what was it? So they don't get the difficulty of the door because I'm so close.
Yep, so it's
right?
just difficulty 2.
Gotcha.
Okay. So, what do we got here? It's control plus security. Okay. Let's see here. I rolled really poorly, though. I did hit, but that's it. I rolled the way that I would normally roll playing D&D or Pathfinder, where I'm rolling really high on my D20s, which does not avail me in this.
Yeah.
My luck has not been recalibrated yet. So. However, you are tagged with the Disruptor Rifle, though. Oh, boy. Which is a
That
vicious...
sounds bad.
It does sound bad, but let's see. Here we go. All right, so that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And it is vicious, which means that's 8, 9.
That sounds bad.
That does sound bad. So you are wounded,
Yeah.
and you take 7 stress.
So remind me, can we walk through this?
Sure.
Like how the wounds.
So wounds, I think you're knocked down right now because of the wound. And
Yeah, you take a lethal wound and go unconscious.
And how did and what am I looking at? Remind me of let's see on my character sheet.
Top right, I believe, is where the areas are. But let's see here.
There's on the right under focuses. There's stress and injuries.
Yep.
So you're gonna fill up a bunch of the stress, but because it was a big hit, you just automatically take an injury. Which
But is there any momentum in the momentum pool?
There's two
in the pool.
You can spend 1 momentum and not be wounded.
I think that's
2.
2 momentum. Okay. Yeah, so you could spend those 2 to not be wounded. You take the stress still, but you're not wounded.
I'm definitely. I think I got to do that.
Okay. Yeah, and then so this is an interesting mechanic that came up, or we talked about last time, but didn't actually come up. You can spend a task to recover. You make a fitness plus command test against difficulty 2, and you regain the ability to avoid an injury. Normally, you can only do that avoid injury once per tactical encounter, but this allows you to sort of catch your breath, and you're able to suck up a wound a second time.
Okay.
Okay. And that so you're stress. So you take 9 stress.
Ouch.
Wait, hold on. I might be doing this wrong. 1 second. Because, where is it? On my DM screen. Where are you? My DM screen is set up behind my my mic, which is why it looks like I'm playing peekaboo when I'm looking at the stuff.
What's the threshold that I took a wound that it was so much?
5.
5. Got it. So same as Conan. Got it.
Yeah, exactly. And the same as Infinity and whatnot. I actually enjoyed, this is a non sequitur, but I enjoyed running this so much, I ordered the rest of the books for Infinity.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Wow. Kevin, you're addicted, my friend.
I really am. Well, I mean, I know what I like. And Infinity seems like a weird, I mean, I don't want to distract, but it seems like all the best bits of like Shadowrun, Eclipse Phase, and Star Wars in this really neat, weird, kind of like high action, post-human or transhuman kind of setting. So it seems and this mechanic is just a great fucking mechanic. So
yeah.
Okay. Anyway, so then so you are tagged. What do we see?
My last question on this thing, if I fill up all my stress boxes, which is, what is that? That's 12, 14. If I fill those all, then I take another injury?
You're down. Yep, you take another injury.
Okay.
Okay.
Got it.
Yeah, normally like Conan, you're a little more durable. You take a crit, but you're not like down. You just take a crit each time you're hit again.
Yep.
And another one for every 5 points that you take, but yeah. Although in Conan, you can destroy armor to suck up injuries as well, too, which is kind of cool. God, I want to run that game as well. I need more days in my week.
You're already running 5 this week, right?
All right, so now all of that interrupt all happened beforehand. You still have a minor action.
I don't think he does because he has to spend the minor action to charge the phaser.
Well, no, I don't think you have to do that every round.
Oh,
maybe rules is written you do, but that to me seems silly. Like,
in other words, you're saying, Kevin, it's a setting that just stays on that setting.
I think so, yeah, because I mean, like I have never seen in the fiction where it automatically goes back to normal. So what I think the downside is to change it, you would need to go back in and change it.
Okay.
That's what I'll say.
All right.
And at the outset, it always goes back to the default setting. That's why you have to spend that's the balancing thing. You can't just constantly have it on high stun or whatever.
Well, then I'll use and let's see. I'll use the minor action then as movement to pull back.
Okay. So do you sort of run back to where T'Prel is?
Well, no, I just don't want to be in the gap anymore. So I basically, I looked out and I, shot my phaser, and I'm using the minor action to pull back, so I'm not filling the gap anymore.
So because let's just talk about the difference between mechanics in between the fiction. So obviously, like, not, this isn't like a poorly choreographed fight scene where like one person goes out and they do something and someone else goes out, and this is all happening in the fray of what's going on. So everyone's actions, while we're timing them through game wise, mechanically, or in the fiction, it all sort of happens simultaneously. But what you could do is we're trying to think. There is a take cover action, isn't there, Arlen?
What I see is I don't see a take cover action. There's rules for cover, but I don't see where the rules for cover actually are. I do see drop prone, so I
think I'll let you spend the action. So to fit with what you're describing there in the fiction, Zarath, I'll let you take advantage of 2 cover from this door. Okay, so you were trying, as much as you were sort of poking out and taking your shot, you still were trying to do that and get back. It's just that you got tagged.
Yeah.
Okay, so you know what I'll do? Hold on, because knowing that that's what you were doing, because I so rudely interrupt you with my complication. Okay, actually, it doesn't. I rolled cover for you to see if it reduced whatsoever, and unfortunately, it did not.
Okay.
Okay, so.
All right. Damage dice. Cover is damage dice, or
cover is basically. Remember how
challenge
shield dice work in Conan, where you roll and then for each effect it reduces it gives you 1 point of resistance.
Gotcha.
Same type of thing.
I got it.
Okay, cool. So all right, that was only our first hero's action. Second one, let's let another. So now let's see. Unless you guys want to spend, you guys.
Hero's action. Dell already went.
Oh, sorry, Dell went. Right. So then on, we got a Romulan going, unless you guys want to give me threat to steal initiative. No?
I don't think so.
Kev, you have enough threat? Okay, I hear it. I hear it.
I can hear all those dice in your hand.
All right, so let's see here. Then another one of these Romulans is going to take a shot at Zarath, but you are back behind. No, you didn't have... you can give me 1 threat to take another action to also get yourself out of that area, because you stuck yourself out and shot, right?
Yeah.
So to not leave yourself exposed, you'll have to give me 1 more threat. Take another minor action to move back from that.
Okay, can I spend a momentum?
We don't have any momentum.
There's no momentum right now because you use that to avoid wound.
Oh, that's true. Good point.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll give you the threat to pull back.
Okay, so then that means their difficulty is increased by 2. Okay, so then they've got a difficulty of 4 to try and hit you. I will spend some threat, and let's see how this shot goes. This is all sort of happening as you were ducking back behind. Whoa! I got another 20, so I'll have to spend... Oh, I'm draining my threat pool here, guys. This is not what I signed up for. Come on.
Romulans are not that competent.
Okay, so
come on.
It turns out it's true. So while you're pulling back, you got tagged by that one disruptor bolt, but then another one sort of slams against the door and sparks fly out, but you're behind cover and it does not connect with you. One of our heroes gets to go. Who wants to go? We have Zhang is left to go, T'Pral is left to go.
Shall I move back?
Yeah, you want to show Henardel how to actually use the tubes?
Show him how to jump into an opening.
Put a boot up his engineer backside. Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
He really just wanted, since we were talking about how Zhang is an attractive woman, Henardel just really wanted her to go first.
Right.
Yeah, really. Unfortunately, you'll have to go first in the Jeffries tube. Okay, so Zhang, now, do you want to use your task to take that second maneuver, or are you going to give me a point of threat, or are you going to... There's no momentum left. So you're spending threat so that you can start making that fitness and security test to try and scramble through the Jeffries tube?
Well, since you're using all yours up, it's only fair to give some back.
Much appreciated. Okay, so give me a fitness and a security test. No difficulty. Just trying to generate some successes here. Now, do you want to get any extra dice for momentum, or are you just going to roll what you got there?
I'll have one, please.
Okay.
I suck at this.
Done and done. Okay. Nice! So you know what you do is actually you jump down and you kind of spare a withering look back at Del, who's like, oh, looks up and he's rubbing his knee. But you quickly start scrambling through and you catch up to LaSalle. And LaSalle is he's pulled this lever out of the wall and he's beginning to crank it to open up the way to access the turbo shaft. Once you guys get in there, it's pretty much going to be like you guys will be able to escape this encounter. Cool. Okay, so then another Romulan is going to try and shoot our stalwart.
Kevin, was Zhang's task difficulty 2?
It does appear to be that way. It wasn't a difficulty, but it was. This is a task where you're counting up your successes rather than
Got it.
So that's why there's no momentum left over either. All right, so we got 2. I think what they're going to do is this one is going to assist. Okay. Seems like the Romulans may be marshaling their forces right now.
Cool.
Okay, 1, and then it is... Let's see, I guess back to you guys. T'Pral, yeah. What do you want to do?
Seems pretty inefficient to take a shot because of the difficulty with the door.
That's so Vulcan. It seems illogical to expend effort to try and...
Well, at the same time, it also seems a little silly to try to jump into the tube and give up our defensive position since I'm in the best position. So I think probably...
So let's do this. Let's try and think... So let's think beyond like a kind of like tactical fantasy RPG element. Can you think of a way, knowing that, rather than just sitting and making yourself harder to hit because there's clearly a more attractive target there, can you think of something you could maybe do to alter the scene to like add a new trait or something like that?
Well, that's the guard action, you can apply that to an ally. So I could do my...
Okay, but let's think beyond just tactical combat. What else could you do?
Is essentially continuing to cover fire, but essentially standing up behind the desk so that I am a relatively easy to hit target, but it's making it harder to hit Zerat.
All you're still thinking of is whether it's someone's easier to hit you or someone else to hit. What I'm trying to get you to think of is ways to use your character's abilities to maybe change the fiction so that you can get an advantage. Like, what could you do to change things to make it to make things more in your favor here. Like, for instance, what had you talked about before as a way of improving things in here? And I forgive me for walking you guys so heavily through this stuff, just because it's a new, we're a new game to everyone, and because I think that like this is one of the ways where this game really does excel in allowing you to do other things. For instance,
Kevin, you're referring to killing the lights, maybe?
Maybe killing the lights, or maybe there's something else that T'Prell's good at. I don't know offhand.
Either killing the lights or whether there is, if T'Prell, this is a little thinner, but if T'Prell had some kind of knowledge about, if he shot the door controls, it would have an advantageous effect, and he knew that. Something like that comes to mind.
What you could do is, like the lights definitely would be something that would be a trait, so that would make it so it's 3 more difficult to hit you guys rather than 2. But you could also, I don't know, what is your character's, what does she excel at apart from medicine?
So the only thing that I'm thinking of is the doctor's orders with a direct action that I could give. Assuming that I can kind of take command here, I could give another action to Zeroth.
Sure. And what does it do mechanically?
Mechanically, what the direct action does, so it's only to one character in a position of authority, so I don't know if I count, since I'm only a lieutenant, and Zeroth is a lieutenant commander.
Sure.
But if I can take the direct action and give a free task to somebody else on the team.
Yeah. So what? Let's build on that. What do you think you could force or encourage him to do?
You could just yell, "Keep him busy."
You also. How did you close that door before?
Just force
through
it.
brute strength, right?
So I think T'Prell kind of leans out of cover and says, "Lieutenant Commander Zeroth, for your own health, it might be advisable to close the door to prevent the Romulans from continuing to fire."
I picture it like
to coordinate the attack, so I figure I have to talk about,
Yeah. So let's see
alive.
here. That's constant.
Zeroth gives an eye roll.
Okay, so direct. Yes, so I am totally fine with that. And it looks like there's no difficulty with it. It's just an auto task.
I think so.
Yep. So yeah, that definitely works. And I think in light of his physical, like you saw that first hit didn't take him down, but that was a pretty bad stun hit he just got tagged with.
Yep.
Okay. So all right. So that means Zeroth, you can now take a task. What would you like to do?
I'm gonna try to close that door.
Okay.
Let's see. I think. I think I need to do my minor.
Zag, move, klutz. That's great.
I guess a minor action to stow my weapon.
I don't think you can take. It only allows you to take a task.
Yeah, just a task.
Oh, okay, got it.
But I mean, the remembering how large the phasers are, right? Like you could easily just slam your hand against this and push the door shut.
That's what I'm gonna try to do.
Yeah. Okay. So then this is again gonna be a difficulty 3 task. So you are currently sitting at 2 dice. What else do you want to? Is there anything in the momentum pool, or is that flat empty?
It's out.
Okay.
Fitness and probably right.
Fitness and security.
Okay.
Okay. So you could give me 3 if you want to get 1 extra dice. Give me 1 threat. If you want to get 2 extra dice, give me 3 threat.
I am.
That synergizes with bold, right?
Yeah, I think it still worked pretty well with bold.
Yep.
I'm going to give you a threat and buy a d20.
Okay.
So I'm up to 3.
I need 3 successes. It's a difficulty 3 task.
Right.
So what do you think?
I'd have to give you 2 more threat to get a 4th, right?
Yep. And you have to give me 5 more to get 2 more dice.
Let's see, to close this door. I don't have any determination left. I'm bold. I want to spend. What do you guys think? Should I give him 2 more for a 4th die? Yeah, it's not obvious.
I don't know.
I can tell you, my threat pool has yo-yoed between about 10 and 3 throughout this whole thing. So you guys have been doing a good job of feeding stuff in and allowing me to like make the NPCs feel useful.
Mm-hmm.
So that
I've been
well, I think in the fiction, it might make sense to be giving a fair bit of threat, because I assume that you're going to have to expose yourself pretty significantly to actually force the door closed.
Yeah.
Right. I'll give it to you. So
nice.
Yeah, and I do have the talent, so I get to re-roll a die. So there's that.
Yeah.
Yep.
So 4 dice.
I've given you a total of 3 threat. I'm rolling 4 dice.
Okay. Here we go.
Let's see. Focuses. Let's look at that just briefly. Do you think this qualifies for fearless or?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Definitely. Yeah.
Okay. All right, we're good to go. 4 dice and.
Nice! Awesome! So that means you get a whopping 4 in the momentum pool right now. So as we see from the outside, the Romulans are all firing into this door, and there's sparks flying from where the disruptor bolts are hitting, but you throw your shoulder into it, and what do we see as you slam this thing shut?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of grunting and cursing in Andorian, and Tuprel had kicked in with his logic, and so I'm like, oh, eye roll, and then I'm shoving. I'm like,
bam,
getting with a few sparks and a little mechanical groan
of
the door. And possibly some Romulan exclamations as they see the gap, starting to
Yeah. As soon as it shuts, the whole lot of them come running up towards it and all start throwing their shoulders. But, basically the computers are now fucked and it's physically shut. So you've got a bit of a head start here now. Why don't let's hear. So I think, is that the end of your guys' actions? I think everyone had an action, right?
Is there a possibility? Should I consider spending momentum that it's stuck? That now that I've gotten a piece of that door into the slot on the other side, perhaps.
Yeah, sure. I mean, it locks closed. Sure, so it makes it even harder.
I'll spend a momentum for that if I can.
Done. Yeah. That's definitely it. So it'll cost you 2, so you can have because that introduces a new trait. So you got 2 more left.
Cool. All good.
Excellent. Okay, so then it gets closed. All right, so now we're top of the round again, because the Romulans are doing stuff outside. Let's go. Who wants to go first here?
I think
Zhang, you want to go with the ensign as our kind of first wave through the tube?
Cool.
Ensign is clear, so I'm assuming anyone who's made it to the turbo shaft, you guys are fine. It's just a matter of getting there in time.
Yeah, Zhang or Dell, who's still rubbing his knee, I guess, right?
Yeah. Why don't you roll for Del? Give me a... and I'll give him the benefit of, aiming, so he could re-roll 1 task in this.
Okay.
He's me carefully making his way through the tube, so...
roll 2, focus,
you got
fitness and security.
2 in the momentum pool if you want to take advantage of that, too.
Well, let me spend one of those momentum to do 3. Because he's not good at fitness and security.
Okay.
Nice.
But he can re-roll 1 because of the aim. Yeah. So you can re-roll that.
So, not a success, but...
Okay, but he's partway. So he's partway down the tube. He's not quite there yet, but fortunately he avoided that complication, so that's good.
Yep.
All right, which would have been stuck in the tube, thanks to our player suggestions.
Who's going to inform Jeffrey that his character is officially a klutz?
All right, so he's making his way through the tube. Let's see here. We've got Zaroth and Tuprel are the only ones. The Romulans are doing stuff outside that you're not aware of, but you can hear the sound of disruptor bolts beginning to pick up tempo as they're hitting the door, and you can hear shouting in Romulan outside as well. So who'd like to go? Tuprel or Zaroth?
Let's see. So the tube is blocked, right?
Yep. No, tube is not blocked. He didn't generate a complication.
Okay.
He re-rolled it because of the
Oh, that was the one. Sorry.
Yeah.
Excellent. Let me see here. I guess. Well, why don't let's see. I guess. Well, Tuprel has cover.
Here's an action. I just noticed that one of the tasks is sprint. It's fitness and security, difficulty 0. Success means you move 1 zone plus 1 additional zone per momentum spent from that result. I'll let you start making progress through the Jeffries tube from that as well, if you like. So if anyone who's trying to make their way through the tube, like say Zarath, you could move 1 to move into to Prell's zone, and then it's 1 momentum to get into the tube, and then or 1 minor action to get in the tube, and then 2 successes to get through. So depending on how many successes you roll, you might make really good progress making your way through the tube.
I guess I mean it somewhat goes against Zarath's instincts to not be last
Sure.
in that tube, but he does see Prell's got cover.
You could, what if you took her position?
Yeah.
Oh, good call.
You run over, tap her on the shoulder, like, I got this, go!
Yeah, get in there, Prell.
Okay.
So he's going to go over. He's going to move to your cover, Lieutenant Prell. And then almost kind of, physically, with a bit of physicality, give you that, get in there.
I am going to give you a point of determination for how much of a security officer you've been playing Zarath like for the last little while. That is fucking perfect.
Yeah, I just didn't. I mean, one part of him wanted to dive headfirst into that tube because it's just time.
Yeah.
But I don't think he'd do that.
No, I love that.
He wants to be the last in.
Yep. Okay. Then let's see here. Then to Prell, what are you doing?
I think going through the tube.
Okay.
Nice.
Give me a fitness and security. Your first minor action would be spent to get into there, but do you want to? You can give me a point or a point of threat to re-roll, or you can spend momentum to re-roll as well. To basically, it's the aim mechanic, but to carefully make your way through the tube.
Well, I can spend 1 momentum to add an extra die, right?
Yep, absolutely. Yep, yeah, you can do that too.
Okay, so why don't I do 1 momentum to add a die?
Yep.
And 1 threat on a reroll.
Okay, sounds good.
And I am rolling, no focus.
Here we go.
And I get to reroll?
You get to re-roll. Yes. Yeah. Nice.
Not a success.
Excellent. Okay.
Nice.
So I'm seeing the value of the aim minor action now.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
As many 20s as we've rolled.
Right.
Okay. So you
And
guys
that's just going to get more powerful as the complication range goes up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's going to be, I now see how fucking cool that mechanic's going to be in play too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The escalating tension, and it fits the idea of it building up towards the final encounter. I noticed that. So Infinity has that mechanic as well too. I don't think Conan does though.
No.
Of the aim you're talking about, or which one?
The escalating complication range.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, I think Conan, it stays the same. Although, I mean, you get some of that with just the way that the Doom or threat pool or however that works. But yes, it's really cool in here where you can feel the tension of one more 5% chance to get that complication.
And what triggers that in this game?
It is the complication range.
But I mean, like, what starts that?
Transitioning between scenes, like as you get through a story. Yeah, I can also like spend threat, I think, to increase the complication range too.
Cool. That is cool.
Yeah, it's cool, and like it fits the cinematic kind of like rising threat kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's interesting that all these games seem to sort of be in production at the same time, and they came to sort of different decisions across the different games that have little tweaks to them.
Yep.
Yeah. So, okay, great. So, then I guess so. That's the end of the round. What you now hear is that sudden like individual hits against the door have stopped, and now you hear just the sound of like a single. Singular beams, and you begin to see like the door starts warming up, and then you can start seeing little sparks flying through. It appears that the Romulans are going to try and cut through this door. So, top of the round, we've got T'Pral has made her way through to the Jeffries tube as well. Del is slowly making his way along there, and Zarath is our last one to go. So, who wants to go first?
Del only needs 1 more success, so let's just do him right now.
Good call.
Okay.
Yeah.
So he's got 2. Does he want to give me any threat to get extra momentum, or just
let's do 1 more threat to roll 3 since he's so bad at fitness and security.
Never say only needs 1 with Del.
Right.
Okay. Nice.
There we go.
One momentum is in the pool. Nice.
Nice.
Okay, and then Xerath, you can see that Del sort of shouts up from the Jeffries tube, "I'm clear! Come on!"
Okay. Xerath, let me think. And does Xerath have, what idea does Xerath have as far as the progress of the group, if any, in the Jeffries tubes?
But
here's what I'm wondering. I'm wondering whether he dives headfirst into the tubes, like let's just go.
Yeah.
Or if he's going to take a defensive position, he's going to get in the tube, but then hold them off. That's his decision.
You tell me. I think. Well, you guys tell me. What do you guys think? What do you think? You likely would have had time to sort of discuss this before. Like we talked before the firefight broke out. We talked about how you guys would have discussed a retreat because that fits with T'Pral and Xerath's personalities, right? What do you guys think?
Well, I've been watching the original series, and Kirk is always doing rolls and dives and all the rest of it. So I think it's the only way. The guy barely walks.
Right.
Nice. Flying double punch.
Right. Yeah, he'll dive in. He dives in headfirst into the tube.
Awesome. Okay. So then I'm going to allow that. Basically, like mechanically, that will be your move and your what do you call it? Your thing will be combined into an aim action. So you'll be able to re-roll one of your fitness and security tests or dice rather. So you're currently at 2.
Can I pitch you on, since he's diving in, using daring instead?
Yes, absolutely. Yep.
Okay.
Love it.
It's a little bit better for him. So.
And then you got one in the momentum pool as well.
Yes, I'm going to spend that.
Okay.
For the third die.
Okay. I have a specific complication in mind if this fails because of the daring approach. I love it.
I'm not rolling a complication, so you can just sit back on that. Yeah.
That's great.
Do
you want to take that momentum point?
I do.
Okay.
So I'm going to spend that for the third die.
And you can give me 2 threat if you want to get another one.
Kev, you're like a crack dealer.
Totally. Yeah.
I know. I mean, the only reason I'm even considering
Make sure
that.
you don't want another one.
Right.
Exactly.
Another one.
First one's free. Come on.
The only reason I'm even considering that is because of a talent I have for.
The bold.
The bold again.
Yeah.
That's been so good, but giving you 2 threats
Ooh,
a little.
But here's the payoff: is if you take that means you're going to have 2 dice you can re-roll, one from bold and one from the maneuver.
Oh, he is a crack dealer.
Well, it's getting on to Mr. Creosote.
I will point out my day job does involve a fair amount of persuasion. So
Yeah. It's like you're a lawyer or something.
I know.
No means no. I'm going to. Just the one reroll. I've got 3 dice.
Here we go.
Did you tell me difficulty 2 is what I'm dealing with?
You need to net 2 successes is what you need.
That's what I mean. Okay,
Yeah.
got it. Let's see. What can I pitch you on? I don't know. I don't know if any focus is really applied. Does Fearless come into this?
I don't think so. There's not.
Okay. Yep.
It's Wefferthian, exactly.
There we go.
Whoa, nice.
There we go.
Excellent. Okay, so that means, unfortunately, because we'll be transitioning scenes, it will go away. So you'll be starting with 0 momentum. But you guys successfully, you dive into the Jeffries tube, you scramble along, the last of you gets through, you tell LaSalle to get through the cranked open thing, you get through, and the last thing I think we see is you turning the thing, and then it shuts. And our session will end with the Romulans breaking through the door, and they come running in and look around, trying to figure out where you guys are. Nice. Where you guys are, we'll find out in 2 weeks' time. Excellent. So, excellent. All right. Well, that was a fun. Wow, man, I love this game. This is such a fucking good game.
It's good. It takes a little while to get your Star Trek on as far as the system and what should I be thinking of. And,
And my apologies for continually interposing with like, oh, but try this, oh, but try this, but like,
don't worry.
yeah, and I really think like that's one of the ways this game really, really shines is it gives good mechanical like infrastructure behind being able to make those kinds of decisions. You know, like it. For me, some of those like personally, I find like games like Fate and stuff like that, they're a little too foo-fooery. There's not enough actual structure there. Whereas this one does, I think, make it's easy to figure out what the mechanical structure is for making those narrative and more like role-playing ideas that give you tangible mechanical benefits.
Yeah.
And I did... Oh, go ahead, James.
It's good to remind as well that standing and fighting isn't the Star Trek way.
Yeah.
Which is in nearly every other game.
Totally.
Right.
Well, and it's easy to think of, you know, like the thing I really love about this is that every tactical encounter, and it's a good, well, two thoughts I had about this. For one, it's a good reminder that in Star Trek and in all these types of narrative games, combat's not an end. It is a transition through to some other goal, right? So what is it you're trying to achieve? Maybe sometimes you're genuinely just trying to defeat an adversary, but in Star Trek more often than not, unless it's starship combat, it's probably not going to be that. Your actual goal is something else. It's to get somewhere or to learn something or to get away from something or whatever. And the second thought I had about that is about running this when we took our break there too. Like that's what running a variety of different games is kind of helpful for. This is a great reminder for every other game that I run. That like this, it's interesting to be thinking of it. And like, no, it's not just combat as an end of itself. It's there to serve a greater narrative kind of purpose. And you guys all role-played the bejesus out of your characters today, too, so that was fucking awesome. And my threat pool, I'll make sure I've got this in here so you guys know where you're starting.
Mm.
So threat pool's at a 10. I'll make sure to keep track of that. And maybe that's what I'll do is I'll let you guys check in beforehand, and then yeah. So that was awesome. For those listening at home, thanks so much for joining us for episode 3 of our Star Trek campaign, where our heroes are now off in search of, I guess, engineering and hoping to liberate engineering from these dastardly Romulans, and maybe to learn a little more as to why these Romulans are on board, and then learn the ultimate fate of the Magellan. So, as always, if you have any comments, questions, or concerns regarding the session, please don't hesitate to leave a comment in the comment section below, and we will endeavor to respond in a timely fashion. Further, so if you enjoyed watching us, we had a couple people, or a few people joining us live. If you want to join us live again next time, be sure to click on subscribe and the bell icon so you'll know when we're going live. We'll be back again in 2 weeks' time at the same time, which is noon Eastern time. We'll be kicking back off for our Star Trek campaign. Someone reminded me on Twitter to make sure I'm giving better reminders for when sessions are going to go. So I'm going to start. That'll be on my to-do list to make sure I'm reminding everybody when
noon Central time, right?
Noon Central. Yep. Yeah, noon Central, and then I think it's 10 o'clock Pacific, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So, in addition, so if you can also contact me, speaking of Twitter, on Twitter, I am there as Dungeon Musings. You can also shoot me an email, and my email address is dungeonmusings@gmail.com. In addition, if you enjoy the melodious sounds of my voice, you can also find me on all your favorite podcast platforms on the Dungeon Musings podcast. And this week I'm going to be recording an episode doing a campaign corner either about my Starfinder campaign or about this one, depending on what mood strikes me. I've also, in addition, talk about a bunch of other different topics, including one of the most popular episodes was my 10 rules for one-shots. And that's repurposing Kurt Vonnegut's ideas for 8 rules for short stories into designing your one-shot sessions. But there's a bunch of other ones that are up there too. And speaking of podcasts, you can also find the dulcet sounds of Arlen's voice on the Live from Pelham's Wasteland podcast as well. And Arlen on there talks about not only his own campaigns he's prepping for, games that he's reviewing, he also talks about the bullshit that I put him through as a player in many of my campaigns. So
nice of you to pimp the podcast, although I haven't posted an episode in like a week and a half. So
outrageous.
I know.
As compared to my, like, maybe every 3 weeks. Come on. But last but not least, the other thing I'll mention too is that you may notice that there is a link to something called Heroes Save Villages in the description of this video. That is the charity fundraising campaign that we run on the channel. It's a fundraising campaign that benefits the SOS Children's Villages International charity, which is a really terrific charity that is active in over 130 different countries that benefits over 80,000 orphan and abandoned children, providing stable and supportive environment for them, for kids who otherwise would not really have that. All donations that are made through that initiative go directly to SOS Children's Villages International to benefit the kids who benefit from their services. And we got a really, really lovely thank you card from them recently, thanking the viewers and the players of the Dungeon Musings channel. To date, we've raised a little over $2,700 for the kids who benefit that. So it's a I'm stunned by the generosity and the support that the players and the viewers of the channel have given this. We don't monetize the channel in any other way. We don't run ads. We don't run a Patreon. If you are inclined to toss some credits in the direction of the channel, I'd ask that you consider clicking through and learning more about that. It's obviously not a requirement or an obligation. But if you do enjoy the content in the channel, you do enjoy the session, I'd ask that you consider clicking through and learning a little more about Heroes Save Villages and about the SOS Children's Villages International charity that it benefits. But last but not least, I want to thank my brave and stalwart Starfleet crew. So, Arlen, Sean, and James, thank you so much for joining me this morning, guys. I had so much fun running this, and I can't believe the 3 hours blew by.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah.
You know, the one thing I'll say as well, too, I was thinking about this before. One thing I'll say for this game, and it's a lesson I'm hoping to bring over into my Pathfinder 2 games, is by having, like, game happening at every stage of the game, it is incredibly immersive. Mm-hmm. You know, with you guys being able to make decisions at each stage, it feels like, I don't mean relentless, because that sounds bad, but I mean, like, the action just keeps fucking going. You know, whether we're going from a narrative scene to an action scene to a narrative scene or whatever, it feels like we're constantly like, okay, now what are we going to do? Okay, now what are we going to do? You know?
I think a big part of that too is it doesn't get bogged down in any one scene. Like, it moves along pretty quick, which keeps you thinking.
Definitely, yeah.
And a lot of times you get the same scene, everyone gets used to that scene, you know, and it goes on for 12 rounds, then you can kind of relax.
Yeah.
Whereas this one moves a little faster. Those scenes move pretty quick.
Yeah, it's really thrilling. Like, I can't believe how fast these these sessions go by. So
Yeah.
Anyway, speaking of sessions going by, though, I cannot wait to be back again in 2 weeks' time. Until then, for those listening at home, again, thank you so much for watching. And until we see you next, happy gaming.